All right. Sorry about that, guys. Starting a new one there. And I'll trim the other one so that you can watch, so that other people can watch that. I can do that later. Hit that like button just so we can bump this up. Now there's no blocks or anything like that, and we'll just get straight into the information. We'll just give it a moment. Yeah, I thought that song was safe. I've played that before, and there was no problem. Now there's apparently a problem. Fucking YouTube, man. Excuse my language. And this is how they also get rid of things in like retroactively. So like one song that used to be played all the time for Jeff C's was Illusion by I forget who actually. I think it was Imagination, and it was called Illusion. And so anybody that wants to play any of Jeff C's or like re-upload Jeff C's stuff, and like the introduction that was used, that song used, that now gets pulled off of YouTube, right? It's nice to watch YouTube streams where people aren't concerned with making money off of it. Yeah, that's the best way to be. It's the best way to be. That song that you were just listening to, though, was Alliance Zanare, I think it's called. Alliance. Yeah, it's a good song. I like it. It's, a little weird, but not really like my favorite genre, but yeah. It's a pity. It's a pity because this is important information that we need to get into. But all right, let's get into it. Let's get into it since we're here now. Welcome to the stream. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you very much for sticking with me. All right. So Alexander Galevich, or Galevich, yeah, I guess so. Dugin, born in 1962, is a Russian political analyst and strategist known for his views widely characterized as fascist. He was the main organizer of the National Bolshevik Front, the Eurasia Party, and together with Edward Limonov, their forerunner for the National Bolshevik Party. As you can see there, the Nazballs. He also served as an advisor to the State Duma Speaker Gennady Seleznyov and a leading member of the ruling United Russia Party, Sergei Narishkin. I find that, obviously, Wikipedia is not the best source all the time, but this is so filled with information when I was going through with it that I thought that we could go ahead with it. So, first off, let's take a look into his early life and education. He was born in Moscow into the family of a colonel general in the Soviet military intelligence and candidate of law, Gili Alexandrovich Dugin, and his wife Galina, a doctor and candidate of medicine. His father left the family when he was 3, but did ensure that they had a good standard of living and helped Dugin out of trouble with the authorities on occasion. So kind of interesting early life. It seems to be that this is kind of, when you're dealing with authoritarians, you kind of have this same kind of stuff happen. If not exactly, then there's that same kind of theme, lack of a father around. He was transferred to the customs service due to his son's behavior in 1983. He entered the Moscow Aviation Institute but did not graduate and had to undertake a correspondence course at a different college. He then earned a master's in philosophy, and he's most known for his philosophical views, just to let you know that. And eventually 2 doctorates, one in sociology and the other one in political sciences. In 1980, Dugin joined the Uzinsky Group, an avant-garde dissident group which dabbled in Satanism and other forms of the occult. This is something that you will see ripple throughout his history. In the group, he was known for his embrace of Nazism, which he attributes to a rebellion against his Soviet raising, as opposed to genuine sympathy for Hitler. He adopted an alter ego with the name of Hans Sever, a reference to Wolfram Sievers, a Nazi researcher of the paranormal. Again, you'll see this ripple through a good bit of what he does. Let's get quickly into his ideology. Dugin disapproves of liberalism and the West, particularly U.S. hegemony. He asserts we are on the side of Stalin and the Soviet Union. He describes himself as being a conservative, which is interesting. We conservatives want a strong, solid state, want order and healthy family, positive values, the reinforcing of the importance of religion and the church in society. He adds, we want patriotic radio, TV, patriotic experts, patriotic clubs. We want the media that expresses national interests. According to a political scientist, Marlène Laruelle, the thinking of Dugin, main manufacturer of a fascism à la Russe, or Russian, could be described as a series of concentric circles with the far-right ideologies underpinned by different political and philosophical traditions, namely esoteric Nazism, traditionalism, perennialism, and German conservative revolution and the European New Right as its background. This will ripple through as well as we get into it. He adapts Martin Heidegger's hermeneutics and existentialism, specifically, thought of existence, and transforms it into a geophilosophical concept. According to Dugin, the forces of liberal and capitalist Western civilization represent what the ancient Greeks called hubris, the essential form of Titanism. We don't need to get too far into this, but you will start seeing a lot of melodramatic existentialism in his talks on this kind of stuff. One thing that is important to take is that values of democracy, human rights, individualism are considered by him not to be universal, but uniquely Western. Bear that in mind for when we get into other stuff later. Let's see, real quick, one thing that I wanted to point out specifically, he always stuck with the esoteric groups. And for those that don't know what esotericism is, okay, esoteric is like Freemason, is the quintessential esoteric kind of thing, all right? It's simply, its main definition is just simply hidden knowledge, okay, as opposed to exoteric. All right, you will find that he is bathed in the esoteric, okay? Just quickly in with this. In the first half of the 20th century, he was in with these movements, partnering with Christian Boucher, a then member of the French Ordo Templi Orientis. Does anybody know who's the biggest name of that? If you can just say it real quick in chat. I just want to see if anybody has seen this stuff before. Let me pull this out so I can get a better one. Okay, I didn't get an answer right off the hop. Ordo Templi Orientis, although not created by him, it was significantly affected by Aleister Crowley, okay? And this is not just a little, like maybe they were both into the same thing. We can see actually a video of Dugin right here. Let's see if I can quickly get this. This isn't Dugin, but this is some douchebag that is just here to give a moment of silence for Aleister Crowley. For those who can't see the screen at the moment, I'll just say what he says here. I ask you to honor the memory of the late Aleister Crowley with a moment of silence. Oh, these douchebags. If anyone in the hall has cigar lighters and matches, light them up and keep quiet for a minute. Okay, now this is Crowley speaking, or not Crowley, Dugin. This is him after the moment of silence, him giving out basically a reading or whatnot in tribute. Okay, and he starts off saying, "Oh my God, one is thy beginning, one is thy spirit, and thy permutation one." Let's turn this down, just let this go through. That's Dugin without a beard. "Let me extol thy perfections before men in the image of a sixfold star." A sixfold star, like the star of Remfram, that flameth across the vault inane. Let me reveal thy perfections. Interesting that he starts off with a sixfold star. But I think that's meant to throw some people off, to be honest. Excuse me. Stick with it for a moment. All right. All right. "Thou hast appeared unto me as an aged God, a venerable God, the Lord of time, bearing a sharp sickle." Do you guys know who that refers to? I don't know. I can't just type that in. This is Saturn. Okay. And here he is eating one of his children. But Saturn is specifically the one that holds the sickle. And he is indeed considered the god of time in occultism. Specifically, have you ever heard of like the seventh heaven? How can I look this up? I don't care enough about the occult to have all this stuff memorized. But basically, they believe that Saturn was like the highest thing in the universe. That's where L comes from as well. So like L in I think that's Phoenician. L was the most high. Okay, and I'm not talking about Yahweh here. I'm not talking about the God. But they take that word L because in astrology, when they could see Saturn, and they couldn't always see it. Some people say that they couldn't at all, but I don't believe that. The Most High was the barrier between space and time. Okay? That's where you get Saturn becoming the god of time. All right? Father Time also comes from him. Let's see if I can find it real quick. God of Time. He became known as the God of Time. Okay? So this is not talking about, Yahweh. This is talking about very specifically, the Lord of Time bearing a sharp sickle. Okay? It's talking about Saturn and his counterparts. L, there's a whole bunch of other ones. Let's see if we can just really quick. Chronos in Greek. I was hoping I could find like the ones from like Chaldean or Chaldean or whatever. But whatever. You get my point, right? It's pretty clear who he's talking about here. Thou hast appeared unto me as a jocund. What is this? Jocund. Sprightly and light-hearted in disposition, character, or quality. Jovial, exuberant, and light-hearted, merry, and in high spirits, exhibiting happiness. Okay. Ruddy God, full of majesty, a king, a father in his prime. And that's another thing. Don't look at Saturn just as an old man. He is shown in many different forms of his life. And that's the same thing with Dionysus. Dionysus and Kronos or whatever, Saturn, they have some pretty strong relations, and they tend to be like Dionysus is shown as the young god, but you will also see Saturn as a young god as well. Okay, especially when you get into his counterparts like Kronos and things like that. It's not just the old man, even though we do see him often as the old man. Another one that you will find him as very close relations is Cupid. You have a lot of the same stories that are very close together the more you look into it. Eros in Greek. So he's showing here at different, like a god of different times, you know, full of majesty, a father in his prime. Thou didst appear, or thou didst bear the scepter of the universe, crowned with the wheel of the spirit. And you can find that. Where could I get that? Another close relation is Mithra. Holding a scepter, as you can see. Let's see if I can quickly get this. Yeah, okay. All right, so you got Mithra. He's slaughtering a bull here. But in many of Mithra's reliefs, you will find the wheel of the zodiac around him. This is the wheel of the spirit. And once again, the barrier between time and space. Okay? That's what often it represents many things, but that is one of its main representations, is the barrier between time and space. That's what the zodiac is to many of the occultists. Thou hast appeared unto me with a sword and spear, a warrior god in flaming armor among thine horsemen. One kind of goes a bit over my head. Remember, I'm not an occultist. I think this is all like fake and gay, for lack of a better words. I think this is all douchebag stuff, so I don't know all of it. Sword and spear kind of reminds me of Nimrod, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Nimrod, sword, and spear. Doesn't seem to equate. Because, yeah, Nimrod was a hunter, and he would be most associated with a bow. It's like Orion in the constellations. So I think I'm a little off on that one there, but whatever. It's fake and gay anyways. Thou hast appeared unto me as a young and brilliant god. He's still speaking the same one. A god of music and beauty, even as a young god in his strength, playing upon the lyre. That I can help you with. Dionysus, who is another representation of Saturn. A young god. He's also known as Bacchus. Like Bacchanalia, which is like one of the, the orgies of the day or whatever. Now, this guy doesn't play the lyre, but he is heavily associated with another one called Orpheus. And Orpheus, what did he play? The lyre. Another thing that's important to note for those who haven't been on this channel much is that Orpheus is closely associated with pederasty. He lost his wife, I forget her name, Eurydice. And he didn't want to take another wife. Instead, he started taking little boys. Started kid fucking. Excuse my language. But this is why all this stuff kind of comes up when you find these esoteric people. These people interested in the esoteric. They seem to have the same themes. And Alexander Dugin is here espousing all of them. I think I've made my point though, right? This guy, like, if you go into Orpheus, Dionysus, you go into Saturn, you start looking up their histories, the stuff that historians and mythologians or whatever say about them. You'll start seeing a link between them. Okay. Thou hast appeared unto me as the white foam of ocean, gathered into limbs whiter than the foam, the limbs of a miracle of women, as a goddess of extreme love, bearing the girdle of gold. White foam. Goddess of extreme love, I can help you with there. That would go into Bacchus's wife. Bacchus consort. Let's look into that real quick. Of course you do. Ariane is one. Ariadne. What's one that's a little bit... One of Bacchus's others is Attis, and was the consort of Cybele. And you'll find Attis here, wears the same hat that you'll find on Mithra, doing the same type of, what do you call it, ritual with a bull. You'll see that these guys are closely equated to each other as well. Let's see if I can see Dionysus here. They don't equate them in this here, but the more that you look into Attis, you will see that they are quite connected. Attis was had the consort Cybele, and Cybele drove him crazy. And how did he die? He castrated himself out of his love for her, and he died doing so. Which would... I have a feeling that this has been pushed back into modern society now with the transgender movement. Not saying that there aren't ones that are legitimate or whatnot, but the mass psychosis that is the transgender movement today, I see some strong ties with these. But getting back into it, we have the goddess of extreme love. That's what Cybele is known as. Also known as Magna Mater. This is in the Roman marble. This is in Rome. The name that she's known in Rome is Magna Mater. Also known as Rhea, Gaia, Demeter. They all have a lot of ties to each other. You'll see a lot of syncretism, or syncretism, I should say. Not syncretism. Syncretism, meaning that they will take aspects of certain religions to warp the minds of people. Okay? Phrygia's only known goddess. They brought her into Roman society when they were losing to the Carthaginians. And they went to a mountain. It was somewhere in Turkey. Close to Troy, actually. I forget the actual name of the place, but they find this meteorite, which they worshipped as the Great Mother, and this is where all of this kind of came from. And they brought her back. Or there was a, what do you call it? Oh, goodness. When they go to get a reading, the oracle. They would go to the oracle. The oracle told them, the Romans, you would lose this war unless you bring back Magna Mater from Turkey. And this is what it was, Cybele. And they brought all this kind of crap back with them into Rome. This is how it got to Rome. This is how all this stuff got to Rome. They were facing an existential crisis and they went out of their minds. But anyways, let's get back into it. Oh, another one thing as well, when you get into Cybele and stuff like that, you start seeing that it has a lot to do with the star on the ocean. That might be what this is. But I don't know 100%, because this is, again, pretty fake and gay. Thou hast appeared unto me as a young boy, mischievous and lovely, with thy winged globe and its serpents set upon a staff. So young boy, mischievous and lovely, like Eros, like Cupid, right? Thy winged globe and its serpents set upon a staff. So serpents set upon a staff we see with the medical staff. What's that called again? I can't. All these names are medical staff. Occult. Let's see if I can really quickly bring this up. I forget what the staff's name. Doesn't matter. But if we go into maybe in my video, I'll show you the winged globe. We're not going to watch the full video. I know I shill it a lot here, but just real quick, because it's hard to find this picture now. They've wiped this picture off the internet. Caduceus, thank you guys. Thank you. Here's your wing globe right here. Let me make sure you can see it all. Okay. And this was drawn by a Jesuit priest, Athanasius Kircher. You have the wing globe here. And you'll find a lot of it as you go through Egyptian stuff. And he was also known as the father of Egyptology. But, yeah. Anyways, without dragging this out too much, I think we get the point, right? This guy is as cultic as a cultic gets. He's giving out this basically love ballad to Saturn and all of his other representations after embracing Satanist Aleister Crowley for a moment of silence to him. Okay, let's move right along. Let's see. One thing that I wanted to bring up, if you look up stuff on Dugin and the occult, there's a lot of stuff that you'll be able to find. So I don't want to double up on what research has already been done. But one thing that I wanted to go into was the old believers. So Russian Orthodox, this is where you'll always hear him talk about being Russian Orthodox. He is not Russian Orthodox, okay? All of this stuff points towards occultism. Not Russian Orthodox, not Orthodox at all. Okay, Dugin was baptized at the age of 6 in the Russian Orthodox Church of Michurinsk by his great-grandmother Elena Mikhailovna Kargaltseva. Since 1999, he formally embraced a branch of the Old Believers, a Russian religious movement which rejected the 1652 to 1666 reforms of the official Russian Orthodox Church. Dugin's Eurasian philosophy owes much to traditional integralism and Nouvelle Droite movements, and as such, it resonates with neo-paganism, a category which in this context means the movement of the Slavic native faith, which again, you'll find a lot of Mithraism and its own things into it, but moving on. Especially in the forms of Anastasianism and Inglism. Okay, and that's where they justify the swastika there and the 8-pointed star. Dugin's Eurasianism is often cited as belonging to the same spectrum of these movements, as well as having influences from Hermetic, Gnostic, and Eastern traditions. He calls to rely upon Eastern theology and mystical currents for the development of the fourth political theory. Okay, now this stuff, as I've seen people mention in chat already, a lot of people claiming little hats, which maybe to an extent. We actually had a little hat in here earlier. It's too bad that she's not here. But let's get into the Old Believers just real quick. As I was reading through this, one thing that caught my eye was asceticism. Those who don't know much about asceticism, It is a lifestyle characterized by abstinence from sensual pleasures, often for the purpose of pursuing spiritual goals. Ascetics may withdraw from the world for their practices or continue to be part of their society, but typically adopt a frugal lifestyle with the lack of material wealth. Okay? This is where I think that this separates from Little Hattism, and I think we start getting into Jesuitism. Now, I don't know for sure yet. There's very little information that I can find here. However, if we get into asceticism, which, by the way, is steeped in Zoroastrianism, ancient Egypt religion, and Dionysian mysteries, like we were just talking about Dionysus. Okay, Pythagoreanism, which if we go back to this picture, it's kind of hard to see. Sorry, I have to play the music. Hold on. But you can see the Pythagorean theorem right there, right? Again, drawn by a Jesuit priest. So they were certainly involved in it. Another thing you want to bring, aestheticism. I don't know many Jews these days that care about aestheticism. All right, a lot of them are about material wealth. There's very few of them that aren't. Okay, let's be fair here, right? They're a culture of merchants, and not necessarily asceticism. They're quite sociable. They don't withdraw. Okay, and they're pretty focused on material wealth. Okay, let's be fair on that. Okay, if you go into Ignatius Loyola, let's see if they'll say it real quick. There you go. All right. So, what happened with Ignatius Loyola, real quick, who's the founder of the Jesuits? He got his leg blown to pieces. Not blown to pieces, but it ruined his militaristic career. He was like a lieutenant at one point. He was trying to seek higher, but he got hit with a cannonball, screwed up his leg, and he was basically reduced to nothing. And what he ends up doing then, he becomes very reclusive. And he goes into this cave, I think it was in Manresa. Okay, Catalonia. Interesting. So he goes into this cave where he spends months, okay? And he practices asceticism. And in doing so, he ends up getting these visions and all these kinds of stuff. And he creates his spiritual exercises, okay? This is something that's very distinct from Judaism. From Judaism. It's not from it. It is against what most except for a couple different sects of Judaism, preach of. This right here is much closer to what we're reading now in with the old believers. Okay, asceticism is something that is very prevalent with the Jesuit order. Okay, and not so much with Judaism. Moving on. Okay, let's see what else we can find real quick on this. All believers, denominations. Apostolically ordained priests of the old rite would have soon become extinct. Two responses appeared to this dilemma. Papacy. I can't say it. Sorry, guys. Sorry to the Russian speakers here that are having nails on chalkboard for me trying to say this stuff. Let's see real quick what I can find. But you get these ones that are talking about secession. Old believer members like Father Potapy Emelianov of the Russian Catholic Church, united with the Holy See, who would be classed as Papacy. Now, this split in a few different ways. There were ones that were about having a patriarchy on top and ones that didn't, with priests and priestlets. And that's the ones with priests. The one that became preeminent is the Papacy. So it meant the one that emerged that we see today, are ones that are very related to patriarchy and with theirs. Which, again, none of this is found in the Bible. Okay? None of this is biblical. All right? For those who haven't read into the Bible, I'm not saying that you should believe it. I think you should. But I'm not saying that you need to believe it. But these people pretend to be biblical. None of this stuff comes from the Bible. Instead, we're told to call no man father. Right? It's that one is our teacher. One is our father. Right? These guys, again, always try to insert themselves in as the patriarchs over people. So, in short, there's something about this that I need to start looking more into. But this old believers thing really, really reeks of this occultism, okay, and hermeticism. And interesting, the timeline as well. Okay, that it started coming out in the 1640s when we have the Jesuits start to drop into, or not drop into, but rise to one of their most powerful periods of time. Okay. Again, I don't know for sure if it's Jesuit-based, but everything about it points to some sort of infiltration of the Orthodox Church. The timing is right on. The ideology is bang on. Bang on. All right. Let's quickly get back into it. Let's see what you guys have to say in the chat there. I've been missing on this stuff. Saturn is the black rock at the center of Mecca. Yes, yeah, the black cube. And that's where you get the 6-pointed star as well. How old am I, bro? Just trying to figure out how many years I have left to acquire such knowledge on all those things. Oh, well, it has nothing to do with age. I'm 34, but you got to do the work and look for yourself. I've seen people that are in their like early 20s recently that know a lot about this stuff, and it's impressive. But then you have people who live their whole lives without understanding that this undercurrent exists. Dude looks like a bitch without his beard on. Yeah, he does. And they tend to do that, right? Yeah. Just nerds, right? The sixfold star is the hexagram of Thelema. Yeah, that's important to mention as well. It's a great point, actually. Never thought of that. Thelema. Oh, sorry, guys. Thelema star. We got a lot more to cover on this. Actually, this guy has a whole bunch of stuff that I just haven't wrapped my head around yet. But the Thelemic star here, which was pushed by Crowley. There is also the 7-pointed one, but that's the Babylon star, sorry. But the Thelema star, which is do as thou wilt, that's where that comes from. Do as thou wilt is from Thelema. And it was pushed by Crowley, hardcore. Founded, actually, I apologize. Founded. Not so OTO was pushed by Crowley, and he became like one of the main guys, but he founded Thelema. Yeah, good point. Let's see. Did I get censored? Yeah, it was my fault. I played that song for too long. Sorry about that. Amen Avidan, Ahura Mazda. Yeah, that's another. They say that's where it all kind of comes from too, right? Flaming sword relates to justice. Archangel Michael is portrayed with a flaming sword. Yeah. Let's see. Tarot card 11. See if I can find that real quick. Might be wrong. It's been a while. Yeah. Tarot card 11. Sword and scales. Justice. Okay, look for Samuel, aka Lucifer, and y'all see he is not Satan, and he is not evil at all. Samael, like the one that's in the Book of Enos, or Enoch, sorry. Yeah, I don't go by Enoch. So Sybil is pronounced Sybil. There's a there's a bunch of different ways that it's spelled as she goes throughout the world. So there's also Kibele as well. Kibela. Kibele. Sorry, my bad. It changes as it goes through different places. I go by Kibele, but you are not wrong in saying that it's Sybil as well. You are not wrong. Hippolyta has a golden girdle. Hippolyta. Ooh, I just ruined that. Yeah. It's very interesting as well. Isis tends to have blue and gold. Isis Semiramis, if I go like that. Ishtar, blue and gold, tends to be the colors. You can see there. Hermes with a staff. Yeah, especially the flaming staff that you were saying, Hermes. Yeah. Completely non-pedo verbiage. Orphic egg, that's really important to look into. You can actually find Orphic eggs in Jesuit cathedrals. Creation of the universe. Upper half becomes the heavens. Silver egg holding the god Thanes. Thanes was a primordial god of light. And when that became unbroken, that was kind of like this is how they believe the universe was created. Lower half becomes the earth, symbol of Orphic. Yeah, if we look into Thanes real quick. Thanes, if I'm not mistaken, then gets taken out by Saturn, was it? Or Uranus? Thanes, cults. It's interesting when you look up all these gods' names, you get like all these like hippie. Thanes egg. Often you'll find where like he emerges from the egg. There's that winged world again. You'll see it's a Freemason symbol. You get that 8-pointed star that we were looking at earlier as well, from which Alexander derives a lot of his stuff. All right. Let's see if Daryl Bryant, you sound like you're 45. Do I? Do I sound that old? You type like you're fat. Weren't the CIA or FBI in a lot of shady? Well, yeah, yeah. That's a whole other. I'd be here all day if I got into that. But in short, yes. Judaism believes that their god is split now, Yahweh and Asherah, and apparently when they do that weird rocking, they're simulating sex and trying to get Asherah and Yahweh back together. Weird as F. I've heard something about this. Yahweh and Asherah, the split, it's kind of compared to their Garden of Eden. It was, I guess, I don't know if one of the midrashes or something like that, but yeah, I've heard something about that. CIA was about to put you on a blacklist for that search bar entry. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm already on a couple lists. Then when they get back together, they will become a hermaphrodite, and their temple can be built or some stuff. I never got that far into it, but yeah, I've seen Talmudic talks about Yahweh, and I've heard something like that as well. Hermes Trismegistus, wasn't he? Wasn't that a historian? Hermes Trismegistus. Okay, legendary figure that originated as a syncretic combination of Greek god Hermes and Thoth. Okay. Thrice great. That's what that means. Okay. And he's wearing his rimmed hat. Yes, okay. Yeah, that's a guy to look into. I think this Apollo's heavily based on this guy as well. Oh yeah, and he's got his staff as well. Yeah. Interesting. I don't sound that old. Thanks. We'll get back into it now. I'm just reading the last comments. The Orphic egg is just the first electromagnetic shell of the Mandelbrot set. The serpent that coils around it is the sin wave that is embedded into the algorithm that causes it to collapse. Yeah, there's lots and lots of stuff to it. Lots of meaning. I've also heard one too, like the snake around the egg. It's choosing to the choice or the ability to either foster the young or crack it and consume it. That's an important thing that I was reading on it as well. Okay, let's get back into Dugin. There's a few other things that I want to bring up with this guy. Okay, so let's get into the fourth political theory. Okay, so he takes capitalism, he takes communism, fascism, and he makes his own thing out of it. Okay, and if you go into his book, hold on, here it is, Fourth Political Theory. Take a look at this symbol. You have the winged. I guess it's like a phoenix, right? Coming out of the fire. But look what he's taking with him. This right here. And so you could say that all of this stuff that I've brought up was from his past and he's moved on from it, okay? But this is what he currently espouses, is the fourth political theory. This is his book, and this is the symbol that he chooses for both the fourth political theory and his Eurasianism, which are one and the same. One and the same. Dugin. See, this is his logo, okay? And if you go into alchemy, the alchemy symbol for entropy or chaos, just another word for it. What do you find? What do you find? Alchemy is, people say it's the precursor to chemistry. Not really. I mean, I guess so. I guess so is how they tried to understand the world. But there are also like some stupid crap that came out of it and just shows you how dumb science is at times. Like they believe things like sulfur and magnesium were like primordial substances. Like they are the base of all other things. Right? There's a lot of stupid stuff in alchemy. Some of it is, you know, based on the truth that they could find at the time. But basically it's just a bunch of pompous people from their own time believing that they knew everything, and this is what came of it. But anyways, entropy, the chaos symbol, and this is what he espouses today, the fourth political theory or Eurasianism. And what is this symbol? So entropy, think about what chaos means, and you see this, it's all in the symbol itself. You have things going in all different directions in order to achieve a certain point to your will is more essentially what it means. Okay? And this is what it starts to make me wonder how much of an effect this guy has had on many people of today in our Western degradation of society. So I'm looking at, for the example, a good example of this, if we were to go over to Lauren Southern, we focus on her a lot because she was a great little cheerleader for the chaos that we see today. All right, and basically only known because she was kind of good looking, almost good looking. Not really the smartest tool in the shed, but In June 2018, she visited Moscow, Russia, to meet Alexander Dugin, a political philosopher and proponent of a Russian-dominated Eurasia. A multi-part interview of Dugin conducted by Southern and Brittany Pettibone was published on YouTube under the title From Russia with Love. It is incorrect to call him a fascist, Southern tweeted in the second video. I think that's not necessarily incorrect. Like, he takes from fascism what he wants from fascism, but he takes from other things what he wants from other things. Okay? So, like, remember that we're on commie Wikipedia and they called him a fascist. It might just be because there's a bias of the person doing it, but it's not incorrect to say that he's taken a lot of fascist stuff. His theories are very complex and they're meant to be chaotic. Okay? This is the primary thing. If you're trying to put a label on him, then you're going to lose the other plots. He is, by and large, in his philosophies, chaotic. This is the essence of what he teaches. It's chaos. And those who read his stuff you will find yourself in a process of doublethink. This is one thing that when I'm reading a lot of people talk about him, I haven't gotten too much into his stuff yet, but you could believe two opposing things at once. Okay? And it all starts tying together. In the second video, she said Dugin had both enthralled and opened so many doors for her. Dugin spoke on a panel with the two women in Moscow. And you'll also start finding ties to him and Spencer, I do believe. Richard Spencer. Just real quick, I could be wrong on this, guys. Again, this is a deep dive, and the deep dive just taught me that I'm way, like, this is way over my head, half of this stuff. But I'm doing what I can here. Think Progress says. All right, so anyways, so indeed, the Russian-born former wife of the white nationalist leader Richard Spencer, who's just a glowy. Like, these labels are bullshit. Excuse my language. He's a glowy. Nina Kuprianova has translated some of Dugin's work into English. Richard Spencer's wife called Dugin a well-educated scholar with a rare intellectual caliber. So we see the connection there. With that case, Dugin, interestingly enough, Martinez perspective, he talks about it, but I haven't seen what he had to say about him. Let's see. Spencer invited Dugin to an international far-right conference he planned to hold in Hungary. However, international sanctions prevented Dugin attending, and Hungarian police raided the blah, blah, blah. But, yep, so you can see there is definitely a connection there. What else do we got? Marine Le Pen. Real quick. During an interview where he declares admiring Putin, Jean-Marie Le Pen, Marine's father, tries to hide a planned trip to a foreign country, so the reporting team just following Le Pen to find that the trip is to Moscow. I don't know if I read that or the writing was just awful, but whatever. They follow him there and discover that Le Pen has a set of meetings. Le Pen meets Alexander Dugin, an ideologist of Russian nationalism close to Putin. He is blocked from entering the U.S. because of his role in the Ukrainian crises. Le Pen also meets Konstantin Malaviv, blah, blah, blah. Reporter claims without evidence that the two men, Alexander Dugin and Malaviv, work for Putin. Yeah, see, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I don't think that he is necessarily the brain of Putin like a lot of people are saying, but it's, I think, indisputable a lot of the things that he says, a lot of the ideologies are also reflected by Putin. So it's somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. And what I find more interesting than the influence on Putin is the influence on the alt-right. I think a lot of this alt-right comes directly from him sowing chaos in our society. When you get into the Eurasianism, okay, it talks about having self-reliance on Eurasia itself. But in order to do that, you must bring down the United States. A lot of it talks about this. And what they specifically talk about is by sowing chaos, dragging down, not so much raising up Eurasia, but by dragging down the United States so that its influence on Eurasia is less. And all of a sudden, around these same times that this becomes prevalent, we get the alt-right pop up around 2014. With the objective to orchestrate a geopolitical push in the EU. I don't know if this is true or not. This is what they claim without evidence, apparently. But it certainly seems like it when you start going in through his doctrine. Let's see what else I can find real quick on this. But there's a whole bunch of politicians, and you see them, all the stuff, if you go into the alt-right and stuff like that, and there's some stuff that I believe, you know, it speaks to me, the alt-right speaks to me in many ways, not all of it, but there was always something about it that made me thought it glows. It glows, and it's been orchestrated and astroturfed by somebody. And now that I'm going through all of these people, I start realizing that it has a lot to do with the same networks at which Dugin is in. And it might stem straight from him. What if I were to go Brexit, Dugin? So it's a step towards the destruction of globalism, which again, I'm not a fan of global homo either, okay? I would sooner see it go down as well. This is where I get my own doublethink. Just because I don't like global homo doesn't mean I appreciate my psyche and someone trying to convert me into some sort of radicalization of occultic chaos. I don't have to appreciate global homo to reject this type of crap. Okay? What if I were to say maybe who's the D-bag behind Brexit? Farage, Dugin. Let's see if they have any. See, lots of WordPresses going on here. I think there's also a strong connection with Bannon and Dugin as well. I wonder what Epstein, because remember Epstein, before he was arrested, he was learning Russian. I wonder why he wanted to learn Russian. Why does a Jew who, of those Ashkenazim, normally hate Russians, okay? Why was he learning Russian? Yeah, I do wonder how much of a connection. I didn't get enough chance to get into it, but I did see Farage's name pop up. I don't want to say for sure. Reddit. Trump Putinism. But there is a connection there with Bannon. There's a connection with Farage. There's a connection with Le Pen. There's a connection with Richard Spencer. There's a connection with all these prostitutes, whores, whatever you want to call them. Lauren Southern being a prime example of that. Another prime example like Richard Spencer. And it's not just that they met once. If you go into Lauren Southern, when this broke out, Lauren Southern. And I'll get to the chat now in one moment. But, oh, she's so cringe. Biggest lies about what the hell is going on? Canada. I think this is it. My United Nations is a total failure.
Actually,
yeah, this douchebag. Who's this guy? Michael Millerman. Michael Millerman actually translated the fourth political theory into English. He was him and two others, I think, were the ones to do it. He's also part of this. And you see her have this guy on. Let's see if I can find it really quick. Just real quick. All right.
I think it's extremely important what Michael has to add to this conversation. So without further
Your fake eyelashes are falling off there, Southern.
ado, Michael Millerman. Michael, how are you doing today?
doing well. Good to be with you.
It's been a hectic few days, and I wanted to start by talking about an interesting tweet I read from you where you said, I'm biting my tongue and fighting a strong egoistic urge to vent wrath upon all of those over the last 10 years opposed to my study of Putinist Eurasianism. So obviously relevant
What did
now as
what did she say? She said Putinist Eurasianism. So they're tying Putin and this together. Eurasianism, again, is from Dugin himself. That is his theory.
in 2014. If you don't study, you don't know. If you don't know, reality itself will teach you. Could you elaborate on that tweet?
Sure. So there's been a lot of conversation in the Western world over the last 20 years about what Vladimir Putin wants, how he sees the world, where Russia might turn next. But alongside that questioning, there's been an unwillingness to actually look at the sources where you can find an answer.
Just bear with me real quick.
So one place, in my view, that you can find an answer to the question of how Vladimir Putin interprets the world is by looking at the writings of probably the most prolific and important source of a uniquely Russian ideology, which is Alexander Dugin's ideology of neo-Eurasianism, or the fourth political theory, as he also calls it. And
there you go. So here we are in 2022, and it's still being shilled by Lauren Southern via Michael Millerman. Right? So most prolific author. She has no problem with this. You can go and check it for yourself. What does Russia want? There seems to be a big tie into this. There's nothing orthodox about this whatsoever. This is an occultist that is pretending to be Russian Orthodox, right? And we get a network of social media whores, influencers, I guess we could just say, pushing this stuff to us. Okay? Now, again, I don't like Global Homo. I will not support Global Homo. I will continue on this channel to focus on the lies of Global Homo because I think it's the most pressing thing that needs to be done. Right? We need to expose the lies of our CIA glow ops that are happening here. Okay? And I will continue to be focusing on that. But what I will not support is a Russia that is basically radicalizing us via the alt-right and all that kind of stuff. I always thought that the alt-right was very suspicious. And now it starts tying together. We have a concentrated operation. All these people like in 2013, 2014, we've never heard of any of these people. And they all just popped up out of nowhere. Richard Spencer, Lauren Southern, to a lesser extent, Peterson, Steven Crowder, like all of these people just pop up out of nowhere at the same time. And in my opinion, so many of these people are a network of this astroturfed theory to radicalize us and to break us apart. So we gotta bear in mind, like, there is subversion that's happening on both sides. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying. Did I see new Gonzalo video? He was trying to farm sympathy for Russian soldiers hard, which I found sus AF. Are you talking about like the torture of them, like getting them shot in the kneecaps? I think they deserve some sympathy for that. Sound like I'm 32, 33? Good. I don't sound that old yet. I sound like I'm blonde with green eyes. You know what I look like. You know what I look like. I'm pretty sure, don't you, Twitwit? I would use a camera right now, but I'm just trying to take my my computer like a little bit easy as I go through all these tabs and stuff like that. It's got some memory card problems on it, so just being careful with it. How do you change profile pic? You got to go into your Google settings, I'm pretty sure. You can't do it from YouTube anymore, I don't think. But I'm not 100% sure. Let's see what else you guys... What do you think of this stuff? Is this stuff tying together a lot of stuff to you? Is there something I might be missing? Is there stuff that I should be getting into more? Jay Dyer used to push Dugin hard. Apparently, Lauren Simonson, which is apparently Lauren Southern's actual name, but Have not been able to confirm it yet, but it seems to be something to that. Went to school with Dan Dix. Wouldn't surprise me. Dan Dix is always kind of, I don't know. There's something about him as well. I think he comes out with a lot of good, decent stuff. Better than most, but still. I don't trust anybody anymore. And that might be part of it. Like what they want us to do. I'm on a iPad. Thanks for the help. Oh, sorry. Okay, my bad. I only trust my mom. She passed 2 years back. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I lost my mom too pretty early. She died 2013, around Christmas. Yeah, almost 10 years. Free Mr. Bond. Mr. Bond. Welcome, though. Re-Education Camper. Welcome to the channel. Sorry I missed that. You got... a wrench now, so you can pass on links. Apparently Richard Spencer is a Fed. Yeah. It's pretty obvious. Pretty obvious. I didn't mean to sound mean on that either. Sorry, it kind of came off rude. Letters to a Young Contrarian. Yeah. Johnny Gatt did a lot of good work on the alt-right. Yeah, and I'm not saying that, like, there's probably legitimate people mixed in with it, but I think that the movement itself was astroturfed and memed into... And when I say meme, not organically, it was pushed. The meme was forced. No, not Sloppy Steven. It was around this. Just think about it, because on the other side of the alt-right and stuff like that, this is when the exact same time is when we started getting the Antifa crap come up. Do you really think that these just sprang out of organic behavior? Really? Nobody ever acted like this. Until 2015, the very earliest, probably more like 2016, right? And I know that there was like a very turbulent election and stuff that happened in USA in 2016, and things were getting bad. Don't get me wrong, up until that point, but there was none of this culture existed until that point. And do you think that they would just push one side? I don't know enough about the commies on that side because I wasn't following the commies. In fact, I was pretty entranced by the right side. Right, at that time. But I bet you start doing some digging, you're going to find the same people. Obama staff all have Russian studies degree. Doesn't surprise me. Olivier Mamiou, welcome. Hi there. First time I came to your live. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Am I like over Frenching it? And I know my accent sucks these days. Let's see. Hey, Olivier, good to have you, buddy. And have yourself a wrench so you can pass on links. Her and Milo, thank you. Another name, Milo Yiannopoulos, set back a lot of Western movements back in the day. I wonder if, I haven't looked this up yet. But remember, let's see. Oh, I don't want to lose this. Because that is at least funny. Milo Yiannopoulos. What if I looked up Dugin with him? Any hits here? Nah, not really, eh? If you guys know any hits, Washington Post, WAPO, talks about it. Maybe it's worth a look. Maybe it's worth a look. Or they just say it, right? Yeah, because they're... Such views underlie his speech about conservative Christianity as a bulwark against liberalism at the Vatican. That was Bannon, yeah. No coincidence that Bannon has been integral to the establishment of the conservative Catholic Diognatus Humanae Institute in an 800-year-old monastery. Yeah, Bannon and Dugin are another ones that would take a long time to get into. But... there is definitely the connection there, but they don't really pump much up on this. Oh, hold on. The Hungary Government Conference. That's the one that was supposed to have Dugin, right? We were just reading that. That conference, also called the Future of Europe, included on its speaker list Philippe Verdun, a close associate of French far-right leader Marine Le Pen, and Alexander Dugin, a Russian political scientist who promotes the so-called Eurasian Empire. And this one's saying that Yiannopoulos is due to open a conference next month organized. Did he organize it? No, I don't think that's what they mean by open it. Maybe he is like there. And I mean, again, what was his job? He was a provocateur. He even called himself a provocateur. He was there to create chaos in the culture war. What a connection with these people. What a connection indeed. Southern isn't her real name. It's Simonson. Yes, I forgot to look up that stuff more. But yeah, whores for journalists, prostitutes, journalists. What should I call influencers? I don't really like the word whore. It's a little bit too cacophonic. Or not, it's not cacophonic. It's a little too strong. I don't really like that so much. But Faith Goldie, I can only imagine. Because, I mean, she was tied in with Southern as well. I mean, I'm not saying that, like, Dugin is, like, the main guy. He's, like, I got a feeling that what's behind him are intelligence and the Vatican. Now, I don't know this yet. But this stuff is pointing to this to me. I don't trust rebel media, by the way, at all. At all. Trinity College at the University of Toronto. Yeah, he just seems to be a very strong vector point, and his ideology seems to ripple a lot into this culture war that's been going on. Let's see. I've known Steven Crowder since 2007. He's been around, though, hasn't he? Best way, he was probably just latching on to stuff for the most part. Best way to control the opposition is to lead them. I believe, was that Stalin that said that, or Lenin? It's a good comment, Phoenix Shaman. Where did Peterson end up when he was sick? Russia. Yes. You are right there. Gonzalo Gigachad. I really do like him. I really do. I do know what you look like. I was just kidding around. Okay, my bad. My bad. Sorry, Twitwit. I love when people think they are awake because they watch Rebel News. I know, man. I know. No, I haven't seen any pics of you. Oh, okay. If you go back through some stuff, you'll see my face there. I mean, it's not that I try and hide it. It's just that having this camera on, it seems to be a big pain in the ass, and it takes up a lot of memory. So I often get cutoffs, like it'll stop streaming, and so I don't put my face on at the moment. It's not that I want to hide or whatever. Personally, I think I'm a pretty good-looking guy, so, so I'm not ashamed to show my face. Is important to keep going? Yeah, it is. It is. And just give me a quick break for bio, and we'll get into the rest of the stuff that I found. The Alt-Right Exposed, Johnny Gat Archive. Ooh, nice link. This Osman occultism is fake and gay, but still interesting. It is interesting, and that's what kind of sucks you in, even if you don't like it. And they use it everywhere. One thing that I will warn, and I should have warned people before, the more you look into occultism, the more you're going to find it everywhere. And they do that intentionally, okay? And you run the risk of going crazy. And I'm not kidding. Be very careful and be very sound of mind if you decide to look into this stuff. Sorry to hear that. My dad, who is mega bass, passed in 2008. I'm sorry to hear that as well. Yeah, we're losing the bass, man. The bass one. Sounds like an East Coast Canadian. You nailed it, dude. I'm a newfie. Wow, condolences. How old am I? I am 34. I lost my mom at 25. Yeah, 25. Avi speaks Newfie too. Yes, I do. That's why I sound like I'm Jeff C, guys. For those that know Jeff C, I was dropping my Newfie accent, and I was listening to him at the same time. So I probably picked up a lot of his mannerisms. The side that claims tolerance of everything has become the literal face of intolerance. Yes, they're cannibalizing their own at this point, which is a good thing. And we're still steadfast in our beliefs. Yes, but that's their double think. I think this was like they meant for this to happen. It's the double think. They are very tolerant, yet they're the most intolerant people of all time. Maybe, maybe. If you don't think exactly like them, you're screwed. I am now in Canada visiting my sister. A welcome break after escape from Kiev. Bro. Man, that's good to hear. That's very good to hear. Talk more about the Knots Bowl connection. Yeah, we can get into the... I didn't look as much into that as I did. And by the way, welcome, dude. Thanks for mirroring those videos, by the way. You got a pretty big following on Odyssey. Feel free to do that at any time. Appreciate it. All the world's a stage. By the way, hungry. By the way, that was not a fart. That is my chair. This was not a fart that you just heard. Okay. Let's see. I will. I promise. Hungary election Sunday. Very important fight against. Yes. With Globo Homo. I think Orban is going to go back in unless there's going to be some shenanigans going on. Sinfluencers. Hey, that's a good one. Sinfluencers. That's a good one indeed. Do I trust anyone? Very few. Very few people do I trust. One channel that I can just, if you want me to, like, just give an example, just say that I'm not just, like, totally paranoid. Eric777. I think he does a very good job. He focuses on the Vatican, but I think he does some great work. He's kind of slowed down recently. But, dude, he's like, he does his own original research, and he finds great research, and he re-uploads it. He's done a really good job. Like, this is one of the best historians out there, in my opinion. Eric777, I highly recommend you look him up. I'll give the link for him right now, actually. Who's another person that I trust? There's very few, once again. You know who I found recently, and I gotta say, he seems great. John Stockwell. He was with the CIA, and it looks like he got out after realizing how crappy they are. And he does a lot of interviews. He's done a lot of interviews. And what he's revealed is amazing, I gotta say. He seems legit to me. But other than that, very few people I find legit that are in our faces today. Like, for example, I'll go to subscriptions. Again, just because I'm subscribed doesn't mean I like them. Okay? China in Focus, I think that what's behind them is something like NED. Okay? I don't care how pretty Tiffany is. I don't care. She is pretty. You can see. Not him. There you go. Tiff, she's got her long hair back too. They're trying to suck me back in. I got a feeling that these guys, because they push all of the same National Endowment for Democracy things, and when the Ukraine crisis blew up, they were super, super against Russia. Same thing with, what was the, what's his name? Chris Chappell from China Uncensored. They went like all in against Russia. All in. And I think they revealed themselves as glowies when they did that. What else do we got here? But so many of these channels that I look at, Adam Kokesh, if I'm not mistaken, he was paid by Russia. Like, he was confronted by being paid by Russia, by the Kremlin, to do his channel and stuff like that, and he didn't deny it. That's a long time ago. I don't know if we can find that now. Adam Kokesh. This guy was huge in the truth movement, or whatever you want to call it, from a few years back. Kremlin. Let's see if I can find. He's sitting down on some steps, and he was asked about it, and he wouldn't deny it. Yeah, it's going to be covered by a bunch of check marks and douchebags, yeah. But can't find it. All right, I just need to take a quick break, and we'll get back into it. Let's see if I can find... Oh, yeah, I want to show you this video, too, after, when I get back. What about Cossack Song Red Army? We'll play that, and then when I get back, we'll get into your chat and also more into Alexander Dugin, because this needs to be exposed, I think. Really loud, my bad. Sorry. Bad volume in it. All right, let's see what you guys are saying, and we'll get into more of the stuff. Let's see. I think I stopped at, do you trust anyone? All right, let's see. Ignore the I in the word, typo, sinfluence. Yeah, I got you. No worries. He looks like Jeff C. No, I do not look like Jeff C. I don't think so anyways. Based watching Rebel News, I physically cringed hearing that. Yeah, I know. Jeff C. slapped me away from Rebel. Good. Not that they were, some of the stuff that they did, I actually exposed them one time for being, I don't know if I can find this real quick. What was her name? Marissa Semku or something like that. Anyways, when they had a crime bill that came out, and basically it was like the terrorism bill in Canada under Harper, who is just as global homo as any of them. Rebel News. Yeah, before the culture war or whatever, I was exposing them. I got a few videos if you wanted to look them up, but they were basically going into these protests against C-51, which was a crime bill against what they called like terrorism and stuff, and basically it was about censorship and things like that too, right? It was a very large bill comprised of a lot of things, and it was very authoritarian. But what they go in through, because they need to be on the conservative side, they started calling everybody there protesting a bunch of communists, right? So they were smearing them. So anybody then who went against this must have been a communist in their mind, right? This is obvious forced partisanship on their part. It's been a long time since I even watched these videos. So, but if you guys want to check those out, I've been calling out Rebel News for a long time. Doesn't mean that I don't like all of what or that I dislike everything that they do. I think they expose like the China connection with Canada, and that needs to be exposed. But at the same time, they're not showing the bigger picture of things. They're just trying to get you into their bubble and speak nothing else about anything else. Also, do not trust PPC. Okay. What was I looking up before? How could I find this real quick? Maxime Bernier. What if I were to look up NED or maybe Haiti? His dad, by the way, Maxime Bernier, was the ambassador to Haiti. This is how he got popular. He was a radio politician in Quebec, or a radio personality in Quebec, his father. Okay. And then he ended up in the parliament, and under Jean Chrétien, he got pushed over to Haiti as the ambassador after a fraud scandal. I'll find it for the next one, because I know probably a lot of people in Canada might like the PPC, but Maxime Bernier was part of the same NED group. Like it's tied in with the International Republican Institute. What if I were to look that up real quick? International Republican Institute. What if I force Bernier? Yeah. Okay. All right. This is it. This is a good article here. Stephen Harper's government signed the UN Global Compact in 2015. Justin Trudeau signed it in 2018. Maxime Bernier helped to draft it. The NDP promotes it. They are all the same. We can come back to this later. In fact, Maxime Bernier was directly involved with the National Endowment for Democracy, which is a CIA front group. I've covered that before in that video that I did. When Stephen Harper absorbed its mandate under the Minister of Foreign Affairs umbrella, along with CETA. Yes, there you go. CETA is something to look into if you're Canadian. But yeah, Maxime Bernier is every bit a global homo as the rest of them. He's just set up as controlled opposition. Maxime Bernier was also the executive VP of the Montreal Economic Institute, which is funded by the Libertarian Atlas Network, which receives funding through the National Endowment for Democracy. There's another tie. It's not just one off. Okay, Bernier is controlled opposition. He might say things that are, to me, PPC says a lot of things that are right down my alley. I agree with a lot of the things that they say, okay? But at the end of the day, there's something very off about them. And what was the... Hold on, let me give you that. You can do further reading. And let me go on to... so Maxime Bernier did... PPC say no to mass immigration. We'll just talk about this just real quick, okay? Right. Okay, so he comes out with this billboard, right, that effectively ended the PPC. All right, and I think they put this out in Moncton. This was like, I don't know, 2019, 2018, something like that. Tied to UKIP as well. Say no to mass immigration. They did the same thing over here in UK. Okay? So they put out say no to mass immigration. And the mass media just jumps on this like a school of piranha fish. Is that the plural for piranhas? School? I don't know. I don't care. This billboard, anybody who's in PR 101 or marketing 101, you never, ever do a negative mantra to try and push your ideology, okay? This reeks of controlled opposition, okay? It's so easy for these people to jump on and say it's just racist or whatever. I might even agree with it, but it doesn't mean that I think that this is a good billboard, okay? You could say yes. You could think of a million different things that would be more effective than this. Say yes to smarter immigration, to say yes to common sense immigration, anything at all, except for say no to mass immigration. You are setting up for failure when you do this, okay? And it wouldn't surprise me at all that these people are connected through UKIP. We were just talking about Farage, right? This all comes off like a glow-up to pigeonhole anybody with any common sense into a party that's speaking a little bit of common sense. You say some things that make sense to people with common sense, and then you pollute it with this garbage, right? And it makes all the sense in the world then. When you look into it, you have the National Endowment for Democracy, which is a CIA front group that's behind these people. They get you to be pigeonholed into a party that will be going nowhere. I'm sorry for those that like the PPC, because, again, their ideology is very close to mine, okay? And it's done purposefully that way. It's to take people with our ideology, or whatever you want to call it, our beliefs, right? And tie it to garbage and then make it fail. Just bomb it. Just like, remember when we were looking at Sandy Hook, for those that were in at that time? And then Alex Jones jumps in, it makes a big hubbubaloo about it, and then he gets sued, and then the whole movement fails. Right? And you're not allowed to talk about Sandy Hook or whatever because Alex Jones was a big idiot about it, or Jim Fetzer, or Wolfgang Halbig. You don't think that these people were sewn in to cause chaos? This is what's going on with Maxime Bernier. Maxime Bernier was someone that was meant to extract the common sense out of the Conservative Party so that they can continue on with global homo. And then we all get redirected into a party that was a failure from the get-go. That's what this is. Squatting Slav TV. I did like Squatting Slav TV. Did he get taken off? Excuses. He's Jeff C. I'm not Jeff C. Every time I watch you with cam on, I gotta make sure my girlfriend doesn't come into the room, not risking the relationship. I'm not that good looking. not that bad looking, but I'm not that good looking. You don't have to worry. Think about this. Blacks and whites were coming together during the Occupy Wall Street days, talking about the international clique. Yes. Yep, that's why I'm not falling into this whole racial divide. I don't like BLM. It doesn't mean I don't like black people. Okay? I think that actually there are some very awake black people. Very, very awake black people. In fact, they're the ones, they know about, what was the Tuskegee experiment? They know about that stuff. They know how the pharmaceutical industry is evil. Let's just say. They understand about that stuff. And there's a lot of stuff we could teach each other, you know? But instead, we got to be fighting against each other. And if you look into Occupy Wall Street, and I was involved with that, at first it was about talking about the international clique, and then immediately you start getting into this social justice nonsense. It started sprouting the social justice crap. Now, if you look into Adbusters, you start finding the National Endowment for Democracy as well. So Occupy Wall Street was basically started by a group called Adbusters, which came out of British Columbia. But if you go Adbusters, will I be able to find this real quick? National Endowment for Democracy. Okay, what if I force it like I did with Maxim? Might not be able to find it at this moment because they've wiped a lot of Adbusters information off the internet. Yeah, sorry, not going to hit that one, but my bad. But if you do a deep dive on Adbusters, which were the guys that were behind Occupy Wall Street, you will find a lot of these same front groups. Truth Media Films, not a big fan. Not a big fan. In fact, I think he might be like a legitimate shill. Remember when he came in and he had to like push everything like no planes, the TransAsia flight, like he had to say that was fake. Press reset. Jury's still out on that for me, but I don't trust him. Let's put it that way. John LeBon. I mean, come on. John LeBon is Jesuit trained. Is he? Do you got some receipts for that there, Laliki? I'd like to see that. That's for sure. I'm always shocked at how many people flat out reject wrong-think ideas when the agencies involved have released documentations of their actions, e.g. the Finders documents. Well, I mean, how many people actually know about the Finders? Right? The more you look in, like, I mean, the Finders are real, yes. But what they do is you'll have, I don't know, maybe one or two local newspapers that post an article online about the Finders at 3 o'clock in the morning and then flood the news feed with 20 different stories by the time everybody wakes up so that they can say that they covered it and then they leave it alone. Also, you can look into how the Finders were basically not covered by any news story or newspaper at the time that was coming out. They hide it from the people. And they just spam and flood with right think, so that you'll never get in. The average person will never read that stuff. I mean, just ask 20 people. Like, I bet you there's many people in this chat right now who are somewhat aware or red pill, whatever you want to call it, whatever. I don't mean to put you in a glass box or whatever, but there's many people that are aware of many things that probably don't know what the Finders were. And for those that don't know, the Finders, CIA organization, or it was a cult by intelligence, and they had ties to Air Force bases in Maryland, and they were trafficking children. What happens if you look up the Finders right now on DuckDuckGo, which we know is right? Okay, well, they even show it here. They do even show it here, but how many people actually know about it is another thing. Right? And there was some sick stuff that came out of this. How many people know about the Franklin cover-up? Right? Like, normal people don't know this stuff. Whatever, normal. You know what I'm trying to say there, right? But a good point. A good point. It's saddening. It's saddening to know how effective the CIA can be. I would really like to see some kind of fact-checking body come out after this war. There's just so much fake news and propaganda. Need to establish what you think, what the truth was. They've already gotten ahead of these things, you know? They know that people are not trusting what's in the media, so they had to come out with... They had to poison the well of truthers with the likes of John LeBon, Jim Fetzer, you know, these types of people, right? And then you have the fact checkers come out on the other end to pretend that there's some authority, you know. Like, for example, like the fact checkers in Ukraine. There's already been tons of fact checkers in Ukraine. One example of that, we've been through these guys before, IREX. Okay? IREX they do fact checking over Ukraine, among other places, of course. They started during, I think, the Soviet Union era. Reducing corruption, stopping disinformation, and building social trust. What's this whore's name again? She's the head of Kristen Lord. Kristen Lord, by the way. Where did Kristen Lord go to school? Does it show here? George Washington University. Now, you've been in other places. Yes, you have. Here you go. Received her MA and PhD in government from Georgetown Jesuit University. She's also in with the Brookings Institute. Brookings Institution. And if you look them up real quick... It's another big think tank, actually one of the biggest. Who's the big guy there now? Who's the CEO or whatever? I forget his name. John R. Allen. Where did John R. What's his name? John R. Allen go to school? Where is it? Georgetown University. Jesuit shills. Good old Jesuit shills. Everywhere you look. Everywhere you look. And these are our fact checkers. These are our fact checkers. And thinkers. And when the thinking has been done for them, the thinking has been done for us. Do I follow Brian Berlatic? No, and I've never heard of him. Let's take a look what Nani says. Who is Brian Berlatic? Wiki Spooks. He has a page on Wikispooks. This should be interesting. Who wrote under the pen name of Tony Cartalucci, is a geopolitical researcher and writer based in Bangkok, Thailand. Land Destroyer Blogspot. His work covers world events from a Southeast Asian perspective. Berlatic's former blog, Land Destroyer Report, moved to newatlas.report in October 21. He promotes self-sufficiency as one of the keys to true freedom. An example he often cites is the policy of Thailand's government in that respect. Reportedly a former U.S. Marine. A couple different sources here. Been a regular contributor to Land Destroyer Post, Activist Post, New Eastern Outlook, Russia Insider, The Daily Sheeple, 21st Century Wire, Global Research. In a report about fake news censorship in July 2019, New Eastern Outlook reported that both Berletik's Twitter and Facebook accounts had been deleted. The report cites a Reuters article in which Facebook spokesman is quoted as saying that this and other account deletions were for coordinated inauthentic behavior. It is a detailed account of the methods being employed by the fake news campaign to censor platforms that effectively challenge Western narratives. So he apparently checks out on WikiSpooks as someone who is legitimately exposing these people. Interesting. I'll keep an eye out for him. Is he on the Gray Zone? Okay. Activist posts. I've heard of the Gray Zone. I've been with Gray, or I haven't been with them, obviously. I've been following them over the past week or so. Haven't seen enough of them yet to form a true opinion, but I've seen a lot of good stuff. Max Blumenthal's been exposing a lot of stuff, especially on the NED and stuff like that. Hey, wake up call. Good to see you. I don't trust PPC, but I voted for them. Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I hear you. I mean, like if you had to vote for someone, I mean, they're probably the closest to not insane ideology or global homo. All I say is just be careful. It's like they're setting us up for failure rather than taking back like a true conservative party. You know what I mean? We should be exposing the people in the conservative party, right? Whereas rebel media is there, like they give like. They might talk smack about the conservatives, but they never get into any details, of who's behind them. And they were pushing for PPC, but not anymore. They're back to basically supporting them, or supporting CPC. They're partying like it's 1899. Grin, nothing gets the gals going like a good march. Leading north, you're funny. Rather be smart and handsome like Avi. Oh, goodness. For the first time ever, more than half of American women are childless by the age of 30. Yeah, that's troubling. That's troubling. So how come so many Canadians went to fight in Kiev? Didn't expect that at all. How many was it really, though? How many? But there was a big campaign. I kind of expected it. There's a big campaign to support Ukraine, right? And then there was also... you had places like Reddit. You go to try and find information on, and you have Reddit, which was like a true recruitment campaign, right? And it was glowed out. Volunteers for Ukraine, it was called. Just quickly take a look at it. Volunteers for Ukraine. We'll look at the face of it, and we'll see the ones that the stuff that they delete. Yeah, they're not pushing it anymore. But if I go, let's go to top. Let's go to top. Oh, they've taken off. Oh, no, hold on. This year. Let's go this year. Look, they had 62,000 at one point. 6.3 tips for the, okay, reality of going into a conflict zone. Respect for everyone doing this. Everyone going. So volunteers for Ukraine, people that were volunteering to go there. An Israeli delegation of doctors and paramedics landed in Romania, crossed the border into Moldova, and is on the way to Ukraine now. Fearless team of medics with life-saving equipment already on the way to the war zone. Oy vey. Hatsala. Yeah, and then, okay, actually, just real quick. So you have people posting that. So it's like, why shouldn't I be going? And then you have anyone aware of similar missions from Canada. I'm willing to go. Right? Very little post karma. Very little. Also, if someone has knowledge here in C region, MSF Toronto. They have people in Ukraine before the war started. Yes, they did. And so they basically fomented an AstroTurf support to go over there. Right. Look at this. 1 month ago, Ukraine is not limiting the request for foreign volunteers with combat training. That's propaganda. Women, grandparents, and very young people are defending Ukraine. And by the way, if you keep looking through this place, they say, like last week, that only people with training can go. So yeah, lots of lies and stuff like that to sweet talk you into going. Right? Little communities like this pushing you to go. Makes sense to me why they do. Now, nowadays, after the bombings that happen at the training centers and stuff like that, it's a much different perspective. Much different perspective that's going on. They're not so pushy anymore. They're not so pushy anymore, and they heavily moderate this website now. Look at all of this stuff that they delete. So this is Revedit, and this shows all of the things that a place will delete, or the subreddit will delete, and the ones that they keep up. Can I fly to Canada? Can I fly directly to USA and ask for asylum at an airport? Interest anyone leaving next week? But they'll delete any of these ones here. I want co-Ukraine and help. It was getting trolled heavily too. Is the war still happening? They were deleting also like anybody that was like talking bad about going. Silly keyboard warriors. Yeah, so this is how it works, right? They create these campaigns to socially engineer you into thinking that one thing is right to do. They remove anybody that speaks against it. And they just keep pushing with a whole bunch of different bot accounts and stuff like that. It's like a botnet. The more that you go through social media about this stuff, the more you see the exact same comments over and over, you start realizing that there's something behind it. And it's just pushing people to think a certain way. This is how it works. This is how it works. Good question. Can't have one without the other. Typically, a return from war or pandemic would have increased birth rates, as there is nothing else to do. Yes, I've heard about that. I forget what. There's a name for that. There's an effect on it. Yeah, try to separate them. It's an illusion. That was a good vid. Yeah, I do like that video very much. Am I down with PPC? I just give my answer. I like their ideology. I do not like its organization. I think it is fake. Rebel News is definitely Zionist garbage. Well, I think I'm not sold that it's Zionist. I know that you got Ezra Levant there with the most Jewish possible name you can think of. And he's put up there, he's like the front man for it. I'm not sold that it's Zionist. Although like they do support Zionism, of course. Yeah, I'm just being picky there, actually, to be honest. I make a good point with that billboard. I mean, it should be obvious to anybody seeing that's like them selling us down the river. Alex Jones talks about things that are true, but then screams about lizardmen. Bingo! That's exactly the point there I was trying to make. Yep. He makes true conspiracy theories look insane merely by his association, and that's his job. That's his job. Candace Owens, Brandon Tatum, two great examples of shilling for the billin'. Candace Owens specifically. Remember, like, she was like, do you remember where she got her start? She was like red pill black at first, but Dave Rubin, of all people, like, get her on a day interview, and she makes like this big tour on every conservative, somewhat large channel, right? And she just comes out of nowhere. Now, she's intelligent. She's not dumb. But she came out of nowhere, and you got to ask yourself why. Why is that? They are indeed controlled op. Yeah. Days of Noah is a good black channel. Very based. I've never looked them up. Days of Noah. This is him? All right, I'll have to check him out. Let's see. One thing I give blacks credit for is they are very clued into the little hats. Yeah. Yeah. They used to be very clued into Jesuits as well. Not Jesuits, not just Jesuits, but the Vatican's influence as well. Because there are Baptist leanings back in the 1800s and stuff like that. Not so much anymore. Not so much anymore. I hope that improves over time. One insane thing I come across today was the Queen Ramona of Canada. Just cue stupid. Oh, Queen Ramona. Yeah. That glows. We got to see this real quick. Queen Ramona of the Republic of Canada or something she calls it. Is that her name? Oh, dang. I don't know if it would be shown if they have it on. Yeah, this glows so much. Like, she's even got, like, the CIA hair. Can we get this video? DeJulo. Doesn't that mean Little Dido? They've probably axed her from Twitter to give her some street cred with the undercurrent. Hold on. See if I can find her on Odyssey. Et pas français? Okay, no.
You can't handle the truth.
So, Chief of State and Commander-in-Chief of the Sovereign Republic of Canada. Dang it. The translation was right there. You got to see this, though. Look.
President Trump. The same group of people who have seized the assets of the Vatican Church. The same group of people who have seized the assets of the fake royal family of the UK, installed by the central bankers.
No one's ever going to take this woman seriously, okay? So you get her talking about the fake royal family, and you get her talk about, you know, all these different kinds of things, the Vatican, stuff like that, and anything she says will be immediately discarded. She calls herself the Queen of Canada. Yeah, I've seen this. There's a few other videos that I've seen that are just like, I don't know where they are, to be honest. They're even funnier. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to show, too. About Lauren Southern. What? She took it down. Okay. Does she show it in this one? I can't listen to her. It's something that's behind her on her desk. So she just pulled this debate down with like Destiny. It was ridiculous too. Like it was a bunch of lefties that she goes into, and they were just the biggest idiots on the face of the planet. She leaves, and then they blame her for leaving. Oh, come on. Show that thing behind her. Come on. Anyways, what I was trying to show you, and maybe we can find it because Destiny kept some stuff up, but she had the She-Wolf of Rome. It's behind her. It's a statuette of the She-Wolf of Rome. She has like a statuette of this, the Capitoline wolf. This is Romulus and Remus suckling from the She-Wolf. So the mythology is that Rome was founded by Romulus and Remus, right? And they were abandoned by their mother or whatever, and a she-wolf found them and raised them. That's the long and thick of it, right? And she has a statuette of it behind her on this. I couldn't find it there, dang it. But you'd be able to, if you keep going through her stuff, maybe she like turns her chair at a bit of it, but I can't waste much more time on that. Never heard of the Finders? Yep. Many people haven't. Yeah, go check it out. The Finders, they who do they traffic for? Well, we don't know too much about it, but they certainly had intelligence in with them. And they were a cult. Your cousin is studying at Georgetown. You should get him out of there. You should get out of there. Because it is indoctrination like no tomorrow. Powerful Blast Rocks nightclub in Baku. Lovely. See if we can find that real quick. An impressive explosion occurred at a nightclub in Baku, Azerbaijan. Multiple victims are feared. That was 1 hour ago. Kills 1, injures 31. Gas leak suspected. Okay, we'll have to keep an eye on that as the stuff comes out. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Victoria Newland's husband, Robert Kagan, is from the Brookings, and yeah. And his father, or his brother, Fred, is Jordan Peterson's Ukraine expert. Well then. Khazar homeland, yeah, Ukraine, yeah. COVID hysteria on the left, I think, has made Max Blumenthal rethink his leftist leanings and former friends. He calls them hyper-obedient lockdown left. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting trying to find stuff that exposes like this farce that is global homo, and you start finding a lot of communists or leftists. From what I've seen so far from Max, I think he does good work. There's always a caveat though. Cannon fodder, yep. They were recruiting cannon fodder on Reddit. That's what long and thick of it was. Got to keep track of those spouses and their differing surnames. They don't take their spouse's name, so they're harder to pin down to the causes they support. Olivia Marmillot says, wow, I told the truth on my Facebook page and I got nasty replies even from my high school buddies. I am now a Putin lover according to those people. Oh yeah, man. That's it. You're either with them or you're against them. This has been fostered for a very long time. It's sad, but this is the world we live in now. Reddit is full of bullies and know-it-alls. Yeah, and they know nothing about anything. They're awful. Yeah, I can't find any sense on Reddit. But when I asked them to help support a few families in Ukraine, got very little donation. Oh, of course. Like a lot of these people, like, and they're the same people that get like, they will have a survey done and 89% of them will say that they want to support Ukraine. And when you ask them to support money, that changes very quickly. Yeah. That's why like these surveys are bullshit. And excuse my language for that, but they were BS because of that, right? Because they have nothing to risk with an opinion. So they just choose the one that's most popular. Right? That's it. All part of manufacturing constraint. Ezra and Rabbi Media is such a weird love-hate deal, huh? yeah. There's things I don't throw everything out with them, but know that there is an agenda behind them. That's him. He was streaming before. Cool, man. Lots of blacks were Catholic as well. Yeah. Not quite as many, though. Not quite as many compared to, say, Hispanics, right? I'm the second emperor of America. Emperor General Meow Meow. Awesome. That Queen Woman's channel is the official kingdom of Canada. Yes, yeah. And it's the Sovereign Republic of Canada, but the kingdom. How does that work? There's doublespeak if you ever saw it. Romulus killed Remus in a Cain and Abel shit. Yeah. I salute our second emperor, and I want him to know that I could be useful for rounding up others. I can't condone any of this. The first was Joshua North, a legend. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you just a little something funny with Putin. Do I still have this in? Did I get rid of it already? Took me forever to find this. Hold on. I'm so bad at this. Removing one for another. Okay.
Vladimir Putin.
All right, so this is him like showing the billionaires what's what. I just gotta get back to Days of Nova before I forget. Okay.
Vladimir Putin strode into town.
Почему раньше здесь не было людей, которые способны были принимать решения? Почему здесь-то забегали все как тараканы перед самым...
You ran around like cockroaches when I said I was coming.
Medvedev, Putin confronted the factory owners.
Считаю, что вы сделали заложниками
You've taken these people hostage
своих
with your
амбиций,
ambition, incompetence, and pure greed.
а может быть просто и тривиальной жадности. Тысячи людей.
There are thousands of lives.
Это абсолютно недопустимо.
Absolutely unacceptable.
Если собственники
If you owners can't come to an agreement,
не смогут, то
then this factory will be restarted.
единый комплекс все равно будет восстановлен. В том
One way or another.
виде, то это будет сделано
Or we'll do it
без
without
вас.
you.
He demanded the owners, including billionaire Oleg Deripaska, sign an undertaking to restart the factories.
Вы подписали этот договор? Да. Олег Владимирович подписал? Что я не вижу вашей подписи? Идите, подпишите.
Have you signed? I can't see your signature.
Идите ко мне.
Dude's worth like $1 billion being treated like a schoolboy. I guess this is what you have to do. Oh. This is great. I gotta say.
Да, договор.
And it's probably, you know, it's probably propaganda, but whatever. Here's the agreement.
Только вторучку мне
Give me,
дайте.
give me back my pen.
Classic Putin. But if a country as big as Russia
Только вторучку мне дайте.
Classic Putin.
Great.
But if a country as big as Russia needed a personal visit from the boss to get one factory back to work, then it was in serious trouble.
Yeah. That's great. I do like that one. Sometimes I think Putin is based in trying to buck the international clique. Maybe. But the more I see and the more I look into this Dugin stuff, the more I'm starting to see that it's all kind of stringed together. I hope he's only playing ball because he has to. Probably not, but it would be nice. Yeah, it would be nice. I agree with you there. Let's just not like put faith into man, you know? We can still enjoy like this. Just one more time.
Да, договор.
Here's the agreement.
Только вторучку мне дайте.
Give me back my pen.
Classic Putin.
Classic indeed. Classic indeed. All right, we'll probably. Oh wait, no. Do we got more stuff on Alex? Put up. I see. I don't know quite enough about the Nazi stuff, National Bolshevik Front. He was the main organizer of it, so that's pretty interesting. And if I'm not mistaken, that is Hopefully there's nothing too bad on poll when I go there. Of course. Here. That won't work. So the reason why I go into it, yeah, look, National Bolshevik is one of the flags. Black nationalist, Confederate, communist, Catalonia, Democrat, European, fascist, Gadsden, gay. It's just gay. It's not LGBT. That's good. Based. Jihadi, Kekistani, Muslim. What about Sargon of Akkad? What if I looked up Sargon of Akkad and looked up Dugin? Did he have anything to say about Dugin? What's his real name? The douchebag who can't debate. I really can't stand this guy either. I think he's been pushed in. And he was like super UKIP. Didn't even like join the party and run. Nothing there. And he's not even right wing either. He's like a Fabian conservative. Names himself after Sargon. I can't stand this guy. But yeah, like all of these guys popped up at the same time. Same time. Anyways, getting back, National Bolshevik Front. Oh yeah, the eagle. Or the phoenix. This is the phoenix, right? Sword, sickle, and hammer. Eurasian Youth Union. Young supporters of Dugin's Neo-Eurasianism. Interesting to note, the NBF's founders split from the NBP as they disagreed with what they perceived to be Limanov's policies of forging political alliances with pro-Western liberals and oligarchs in order to overthrow Vladimir Putin's government. So they split up from the MBP. And I'm pretty sure that communism is still a big problem in Russia, right? The second biggest party is communist. Was this maybe an attempt to split the Bolshevik party? Oh yeah, it looks like they kind of co-opted it. Because once they split in 2006, they only lasted in 2007. Now, I don't know how big the National Bolshevik Party was. Did they have any seats? Oh, and they were banned right after. Based, dare I say. Yeah, it looks like they were small. Why were they banned? Outlawed in aftermath. Banned by the Russian lower court in 2005 and overturned by the Russian Supreme Court. August 7th of 2007, the Russian Supreme Court confirmed the decision of the Moscow City Court to ban the party as an extremist organization. MVP took part in Strategy 31. Series of civic protests in support of the right to peaceful assembly. Now that is some new speak if I ever heard it. Let's see what these boys were at. Who's behind these guys? Moscow Helsinki Group. I've seen that name a few times around. Old grandma holding up a sign. All right, I'm just I betcha. Yeah, New York Times devoted its front page to an article about this protest action. What if I were to look up section Strategy 31? Strategy 31 and just throw in something like NED USAID. And force the results. And if I don't get anything, I'll move back. We'll go back into National Bolshevik. Ned funded Strategy 31. Ned funded Moscow Helsinki Group. That's that human rights group we were just looking at. We were just looking at it. Imagine my shock that we find these guys. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Okay. All right. So, yeah, National Bolsheviks and these guys, they were NED led, NED funded, and NED supported. And then it looks like the National Bolshevik Front was put in to split them apart. And move them towards something more pro-Putin. Or, I guess, less anti-Putin. So are they still around? They are indeed. What do they have for seats? Economic far left, social far right. That's interesting. Religion, Russian Orthodox Old Rite Church. That's the old believers, the ones that were really just Gnostics. So this is the pantheist, or the Eurasianist group. Definitely something to look into more. Okay, let's go back a little bit further. It's too bad they don't have like a list of his associations. Alright, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. 'Cause we got some people that have already done a lot of good work on this. And I've tried to find a good bit on it. The Cult in the Kremlin. I'm just going to throw this on, actually. Then we can chat in the chat. You guys are pretty quiet in there. Sorry if I've been boring you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. I'm your host, Daniel Walker, and today I wanted to...
I don't necessarily support this guy, but I think he's done a pretty good job on this one. He focused a little bit too much on the little hats for my liking. However, it seems like that they are heavily involved.
talk about Alexander Dugin. Not so much him personally, but more his ideology, his background. I also want to talk about the Kremlin and the KGB's involvement with the Russian Orthodox Church. But this is all tied in with Dugin, and of course his personal influence, not only within Russian politics, but the alternative media, specifically those in traditionalist or right-wing.
Oh, hold on. I apologize. Before we get into that, there was something that happened. It stopped like loading the comments for me. You guys were talking in here, and I didn't mean to ignore it. It just didn't show up. I had to do it. I had to restart to get all these messages. Give me my pen back. Yeah. Somewhere in a person's imagination, Hitler is yelling "Fehlerlein" multiple times. That is borderline delusional. I hope nothing too bad is on there. Spurgon of Mossad, you mean? Yeah. Carl Benjamin. Yeah, that's his name. He's such a D-bag. I really can't stand him. Hoping for a nothing bad on 4chan is like walking into a hurricane and hoping not to get wet. Yeah. I'll take Count Dankula over Sargon any day, mad lad. Yeah, at least Count Dankula's fun. Did you ever hear like when say V was on? And I don't really like V all that much either, but he's okay. He's all right. When he was on Count Dankula, or not Count Dankula, when he was on Sargon of Akkad, it's like his sidekick. Like he was constantly trying to like put him down all the time and like make sure that Carl is the boss. It was so disgusting. Good digging, Avi. I love digging, man. I love digging. I will be looking more into this stuff because there's definitely ties I haven't found yet. But there are other videos that we should take a look into, and we'll go in through this, and I'll chat with you in the chat. This is about half an hour long, I think. 25 minutes, worth every minute of it. Great information. We need to start looking into these guys. I'm listening, learning. Cool. Not a bore. All right, cool, man. Just double checking. Never heard this before. I'm playing Borderlands while I listen, not typing much. No worries. You're not. You are not expected to speak. It's okay. It's all good. All right, let's get into this.
Wing movements. I understand Wikipedia isn't the best source to use, but we can go through the citations if needed, and I think it's just going to give us a good starting point.
I make sure not to hit his stuff for the most part of the things. There are a couple things that we talk about that are the same, but still, there's still a lot of stuff that he brings up that I don't, and vice versa. I try to do that on purpose.
About this man, because there are some links that I want to show you. So we'll just go through this really quickly. Alexander Dugin is a Russian political analyst, a strategist, known for his fascist views. A lot of sources there. He has close ties with the Kremlin and the Russian military. Now we're going to get back to this because this is very important. Having served as an advisor to the State Duma, Speaker Selyanov, a key member of the ruling United Russia Party, and Sergei Narishkin, Dugin was the leading organizer for the National Bolshevik Party, National Bolshevik Front, and Eurasia Party. He is the author of more than 30 books, among them Foundations of Geopolitics, which I've quoted in previous videos, and The Fourth Political Theory 2009. Now let's just go through this because I found this very interesting. Because I've had people suggest to me that Dugin is actually Christian because of his ties to the Kremlin and the Russian Orthodox Church. So let's just read this. Dugin was baptized at the age of 6 in the Russian Orthodox Church of his great-grandmother. I'm not going to try and pronounce that name. Since 1999, he formally embraced branch of the Old Believers, a Russian religious movement which rejected the 1652 to 1666 reforms of the official Russian Orthodox Church. Dugin's Eurasian philosophy owes much to traditional integralism and Nouvelle Droite movements, and as such it resonates with neo-paganism. I'm going to show you why all of this is relevant, but let's continue for now. A category which is in this context, a category which in this context means the movement of Slavic native faith, especially in forms of Anastasiaism and Yingelism. Note that star. Dugin's Eurasianism is also cited as belonging to the same spectrum of these movements. This is all very relevant, and I'm going to show you some links here in a minute, but I'll continue. As well as having influences from Hermetic, Gnostic, and Eastern traditions. Okay. He himself calls to rely upon Eastern theology and mystical currents for the development of the fourth political theory. Okay, so we're talking about chaos magic. We're talking about the old believers. And this sort of branch between paganism and Torah observant old style Judaism. Now this is all relevant because when we look into the Bible, let's see what the book of Matthew says about the old believers and the Pharisees. But in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. And he called the multitude and said unto them, Hear and understand. Not that which goeth in the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man. He's obviously talking about vain repetitions, and he's talking about the people who haven't left the old covenant. And indeed the old covenant was done away with, because we know Jesus is the fulfillment of that covenant. But I'll just read this. But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if the first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. Okay, because we know that the Jews did away with the covenant, because the covenant with the Jews was a two-way street. The Jews didn't keep their end of the bargain, and they were kicked out of the Holy Land. Now, a lot of these Jews back in Jesus' times, the ones that took up stones and tried to kill him, and eventually did kill him, a lot of these people claimed to believe in Moses, the old covenant. But all of this was, of course, in vain, because we know that these people, well, as it says here, in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Now you can say this about the Russian Orthodox Church as well. But this neo-pagan element is important, because we know that in the book of Leviticus it talks about the pagans of old requiring child sacrifice. We'll go to Deuteronomy 32:17 here. It says, They sacrifice unto devils, not to God whom they knew not. To new gods they came newly up, from your fathers feared not. Yeah. Now, just before I move on, I want to show you why not only is he anti-Christian for believing in heresy, but he's actually anti-Christ as well. He rejects Christ. And here's more proof here. In the early 1990s, Dugin's work at the National Bolshevik Front included research into the roots of national movements and the activities of supporting esoteric groups in the first half of the 20th century. Partnering Christian Bouquet, and then former member of the French OTO, and building the national fascist and migratory integrative interest groups in Asia and Europe, they continue in bringing international policies closer to Russia's Eurasian geopolitical concept. The French branch of the OTO. Now, what do we know about the OTO? Well, a lot of people have linked the Ordo Templi Orientis to pedophile black magic. This website here, from the Ordo Templi Orientis, actually recognizes Dugin as a member of the OTO. Now, if people want to see how the Ordo Templi Orientis is completely connected to a lot of the Pizzagate research, and people like Lady Gaga, Jay-Z, these are all members of the OTO. This is an entire archive on vote, which goes right into the connections to a satanic cult. This is what I'm sorry, where's this link? This is what Mariana Abramovic and Lady Gaga is involved with. We can scroll down here. There's a strong emphasis on cannibalism. Here she is with Lady Gaga. Now, these are all all of these people are led by Baphomet. And I want to show you why this is all relevant. Alexander Dugin is not a Christian. He is not even a Russian Orthodox, but he does have influence in the Russian Orthodox Church, strangely enough. Also, he has the ear of Putin. This is all relevant because he's very much one of the architects of the alt-right.
This is an interesting map. Someone mentioned in the chat Jay Dyer. It looks like he has his links to Dugin as well. We have Red Ice Radio, who's indirectly connected by Daniel Freiberg. I don't think Red Ice is on YouTube anymore, but they're on BitChute and stuff like that. Jay Dyer is also linked to Styx Hexenhammer and Richard Spencer. Faith Goldie's already been brought up. Lawrence Southern's already been brought up. Paul Gottfried, who's a Jewish philosopher, is linked to Ezra Levantz from Rebel Media. What's this connection here with Wilbur Ross? Is Ryan Dawson actually connected to RT News? Is that true? Ryan Dawson has appeared multiple times on Russia Today, Press TV, which is, I think, Iranian, Indus News, Sputnik, CNN Headline News, really? MSNBC, Daily Show with Jon Stewart, really? Al Jazeera, Anti-War Radio, Eddie Bravo Radio, really? Eddie Bravo? George Galloway, who is part of Russia Today these days. Pat Buchanan. And his ANC report, that's his website. His symbol, a dove with lightning flying down. There's still a lot of stuff with Ryan Dawson I actually like. If you want to watch something pretty funny, let's see. Odyssey, Ryan Dawson debates aliens hard. This is fun for a laugh. You can queue this up for the next watch after this. Yeah, he's been around for a long time, and he has some good connections. He obviously has some good connections to a lot of information. And now that's starting to kind of clue in, isn't it? Let me go through this a little bit further because he goes through a lot of the stuff that I went through as well. But, oh yeah, this stuff here. This stuff here.
Social media.
And we are kind of revolutionary movement that is analogous to the Bolsheviks.
Daria Dugina. Sorry. It's going to
We
double
are a
up.
kind
I
of
apologize.
revolutionary movement that is analogous to the Bolsheviks.
So that's his daughter here. And you can see the same symbol. New Resistance, NR. Freedom, justice, revolution. Okay, I see where he's... I didn't know why he had that there at first, but yeah, you got the star, revolution, resistance. You are the resistance, InfoWars. Daria Dugina, that's his daughter there. Okay. So this is apparently her social media. And she's there shilling the Baphomet. Remember when he was doing his ode and he was talking to the serpents on the staff? That's there.
For me. This is Alexander Dugin's Facebook. Pay attention.
That's her. And this is okay, so this is actually Dugin's, the father, Alexander Dugin, with her on it.
Daughter. See, there's the pagan element.
And this is the Tophet. So if you haven't seen these before, this is it Milcom? So it's an old Baphomet statue. You can find this in many places. And in this area right here is where you put in the child for sacrifice. Let's see if I can find this real quick. Yeah. And that's what that was to represent. Same thing with here.
The Antichrist element. Baphomet.
Sorry for the bad audio. The most important point is that 4PT is based on, that was what his website name was, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, the fourth political theory is based on the fact that the choice of paradigm is not within the three political ideologies, the logos of the Great Mother, but within the three logoi of the political philosophies of the Father, Platonism, the Son, Aristotelianism, and the Mother, materialism. This is a free choice in which modernity is nothing more than one option and far from all. This is 2017. The political philosophies of the Father and the Son of their alliance are objects of free choice. This is a task, not a given. It appears that we ended up in modernity because we forgot that the political philosophy of the Father and the political philosophy of the Son need to be constantly affirmed anew with each new generation and new person. We took them for something guaranteed, something for granted. Oh boy.
We also have Alexander Dugin's reading of Aleister Crowley's Book of Thelema, which is basically more proof that he is a member of the OTO. Let's check it out.
Okay, so that thing that we were going into earlier, that's actually from the Book of Thelema. Liber 777, is it? No. 713 813 813. So we've already gone through this,
Church,
so we'll just go ahead.
and devotes a major portion of his book, KGB/FSB, New Trojan Horse, to its use by the Russian intelligence service. Isn't that interesting? That people are claiming that the Russian Orthodox Church is actually, well, a proxy of the KGB. But I'll just play a little bit of this. I'm sure everybody's seen it, but we'll just play it anyway.
И членами его являлись примерно 80-85% евреев. Но они же, руководствуясь ложными идеологическими соображениями...
Okay, there we have it. Now moving on. This is all relevant. Let's start with Wikipedia, which isn't the greatest source, but like I said, it gives us a good starting indication. There is so much stuff here, I could go on about this on and on and on all day, but I want to try to make this as quick as I can. Clerical collaborations with communist secret services occurred in some Eastern European countries during the Cold War. Now, obviously, there was a lot of Christian persecution going around the time that the Soviets took power. Of course, even prior to then, we know that the provisional government and the Bolsheviks were entirely Jewish, but so were the Soviets. And I've done like a whole documentary on this. I don't have the time to get into it right now, but we'll continue. When we go down to Russia, it says here, according to the Mitrokhin archive and other sources, the Moscow Patriarchate has been established on the order from Joseph Stalin in 1943 as a front organization of the NKVD and later the KGB. No huge surprise. All key positions in the church, including bishops, have been approved by the ideological department of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union and by the KGB. The priests were used as agents of influence in the World Councils of Churches and front organizations such as World Peace Council, Christian Peace Conference, and the Rodina Motherland Society, founded by the KGB in 1975.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I've heard about this too. When they joined the World Council of Churches as well. That was in 75. May Brussel did a lot of work on this actually, and saying that they were subverted by the Catholics, if I'm not mistaken. Now she wasn't really like anti-Vatican. She was pointing out the research that she found. I wonder if I could figure out where I could find that. But moving on. But interesting how they joined the World Council of Churches, the World Peace Council, Christian Peace Conference, and Rodina Society, founded by the KGB.
The future Russian Patriarch Alexis II said that Rodina has been created to maintain spiritual ties with our compatriots as one of its leading organizers. According to the archive and other sources, Alexis has been working for the KGB as an agent and received an honorary citation from the agency for a variety of services. Priests have also recruited intelligence agents abroad and spied on Russian immigrant communities. This information by Mitrokhin has been corroborated by other sources. I mean, this is common knowledge at this point. You know, like when we check this citation, it says, according to Konstantin, former chairman of Soviet Council of Religious Affairs, quote, not a single candidate for the office or bishop or any other higher ranking office, much less member of the Holy Synod, went through without confirmation by the Central Committee of the CPSU and the KGB. Alright.
Volume up a bit, sorry.
It should be common knowledge at this point that the KGB and the Jewish Soviets put the current Russian Orthodox Church in power. So this is another reason to question Dugin's integrity, number one, but also the narrative pushed by some people like Jay Dyer, who constantly push this pro-Russian Orthodox church position along with Dugin's fourth political theory. There's a lot of people that push this into the alt-right and even into a lot of the newer conservative alternative media outlets that are popping up everywhere. It says here, in the early 1990s and later on, Krill was accused of having links to the KGB during much of the Soviet period, as were many members of the Russian Orthodox Church hierarchy, and for pursuing the state's interests before those of the church. His alleged KGB agent codename was Mikhailov. Tony Haplin, Russian Orthodox Church chooses between ex-KGB candidates as patriarch. So there's a lot here. This is on the Washington Post, Russia's well-connected patriarch. Church-state ties. I'll just read this little portion, because I'll try to get through this as quick as I can. Like I said, there's so many links here, I don't have the time to get into all of them. Many Orthodox priests were forced by the communists into relationships with the Soviet police, often under threat of execution. Researchers say that evidence indicates that Alexei rose to power in part as a reward for his service as a KGB informant, and that he was decorated for that work as recently as 1988, 2 years before the church leaders elected him patriarch. Alexei declined repeated requests for an interview for this article, but the Reverend Visivold, chaplain, deputy head of the church's foreign relations department, said in an interview in March that clergymen had no choice but to report to Soviet authorities. As long as they did not turn in fellow believers and priests, he said, they did no moral wrong. Quote, to reject Soviet power as something totally bad and to blame someone just for being in good touch with Soviet authorities, I think is a highly politicized approach, he said. Many Russians share the church's attitude that to explore the Soviet Union's grisly past would be useless and painful. So, in a lot of ways, they don't even deny it. There have been a lot of people connected to the church, even bishops, who have given interviews talking about this. We have it here from The Guardian as well. Russian patriarch was KGB spy. The Sunday Times reports Russian Orthodox Church chooses between ex-KGB candidates as patriarch. Even the Catholics talk about it. Not that the Catholics are any better, but let's read this little part. A 1983 report from the Central KGB Archives, for example, reveals that when the monks of the Pochiev monastery in western Ukraine were complaining about harsh treatment, including the beating to death of a monk by the KGB and the local abbot, Yakov Punchok, in 1981 to 1982, Alexei was one of the 2 Russian Orthodox leaders sent down there to conduct, quote, educational work among the monks. In February 1988, exactly 30 years after his retirement as an agent, Alexei was given an award by the KGB in recognition for his long service for them. All senior clerical appointments in the Soviet era were made by the KGB and mediated through the government's Council for Religious Affairs, which is the public face of the 4th Department of the KGB 5th Directorate, and many junior appointments besides. Alexei's collaboration was nothing exceptional. Almost all senior leaders of all officially recognized religious faiths, including Catholics, Baptists, Adventists, Muslims, and Buddhists, were recruited KGB agents. Okay, so can you see how a lot of this narrative of Dugin's fourth political theory and the Russian Orthodox Church seeping into the West is actually a product of political subversion by the Soviets? Not to mention the fact that the West relies heavily on its false relationship with Israel, which of course was set up by the Russians. I mean, Israel is the Soviet backdoor into the West. But we also have this political subversion that Yuri Bezmenov warned us about, and it's coming into Christianity through the Russian Orthodox Church, but also into the alternative media and the political atmosphere by none other than Alexander Dugin, who of course is a crypto-Jewish Bolshevik who rejects Christ, and apparently is a member.
That's where I mean, like, maybe he is. Maybe you guys can find some information, and I'll look it up too, but I did not see him being a crypto Jew. I mean, it's easy to say he's a crypto Jew, but, like, a lot of his ideology, he's talking about the Great Mother and all this kind of stuff. It's not necessarily Jewish. I'm seeing a lot of the same stuff that you find in with the Society of Jesus and Christian Hermeticism. Like, I'm seeing a lot of that same stuff, not necessarily Judaism. But I could be wrong. I still haven't found enough yet.
Member of the Ordo Templi Orientis. I mean, does this not concern people? We have more links here I won't get into. Why do the Russians trust the church set up by the KGB? There's a lot here. Putin's
makes me wonder, just real quick, I want to see what does Styx Hex and Hammer say? Ugh, dang it, how do I find this now? What has he been saying about Russia in this past few days? So Biden. He's against Biden. Clarence Thomas. Oh, little fun fact about Clarence Thomas. Hold on. Not only is he Catholic, just while we're going through that stuff. Raised Catholic, Thomas attended the predominantly black. We were just talking about black Catholics. The predominantly black St. Pius X. By the way, it's one that the IHS certainly loves. The Jesuit school I went to, the church right next was P10 or Pius X. High school for 2 years before transferring to St. John Vianney's Minor Seminary on the Isle of Hope, where he was among few black students. He also briefly attended Conception Seminary College, Benedictine College, a Roman Catholic seminary. He was going to be a priest. Thomas said that he left the seminary in the aftermath of the assassination of MLK. By the way, Moloch, MLK was his interesting. It could be pure coincidence, but Moloch's like known letters that they use for Moloch is MLK. He had overheard another student say after the shooting, "Good, I hope the son of a bee died," and did not think the church did enough to combat racism. And then he enrolled at the College of the Holy Cross, Jesuit Liberal Arts College. So yeah, good old Clarence Thomas. I'm supposed to be defending him. But anyways, yeah, Biden, communist, blames Russia instead. Krishna and Orpheus. Oh gosh. When he gets into his occult stuff. So he's pushing the occult, hitting Joe Biden, and deflecting Russian. Now, once again, I more or less support the justification that Russia has. But look at the stuff he's pushing. This is what Dugin would want, right? Am I wrong on that? Splitting up the U.S., constantly talking about the culture war, talking about the occult. And minimal talk about Russia over these past few days. He's usually all over discussions, important geopolitical discussions. Yeah, that makes sense that he would show up on that little net. You have the winged. Yeah, I mean, even the symbol it's right on top, right on target with all the stuff that's been pushed over here by Dugin. I used to listen to this guy a good bit. Not so much anymore. I stopped with him and Tim Pool about a year ago now. Maybe, no, more than a year. About 2 years I stopped. But yet, again, another guy that comes into popularity around these same times. Zaporizhia. Okay. Fire at Zaporizhia nuclear plant. Very little. Okay, so he was talking about until about March 3rd, March 4th. Mr. 666 guy, yeah. Georgetown. I don't know if Thomas went to Georgetown. He went to Holy Cross, though. So, I mean, might as well be the same thing, right? Styx rectum jammer? Is that what Jeff called him? I didn't follow Jeff at that time when he became popular. Styx. Styx has been anti-Russia in the special operation. Sees it as a breach of non-aggression anarchist type thing. Okay, interesting. Certainly noted. He edits occult works. I don't know what that means. Okay. I never ever got into his occult stuff. I found it boring. And pretty like I only watched a couple of them and I found it not in depth. Like it's kind of pompous. At least he doesn't wear that leather jacket with no shirt anymore. That was ridiculous. Yeah. Oh gosh, from being on 4chan too. He used to shill on 4chan, so in order, I guess, for these people to get him to stop, they would post pictures of him that were very lewd. And, you can't unsee that. Ugh. I actually just shivered. I can't even explain the stuff that I've seen of him. His kitty's cute, though. I think he's got a couple of them, doesn't he? What can we find real quick? Oh, there was one other thing. While I have you here, leading north. Association for New Canadians. I was looking through this stuff recently. Oh, not links. Oh, well, for funding partners. Okay, so like one of their main partners. This is like Association for New Canadians. I don't know if this is specifically Canada. Oh, the website is Canada alone. Okay, and it shows like all the different, onboard global homo in Newfoundland. But important links, Canadian Council for Refugees. Okay, let's see if I can find this real quick. About us. Structure. So these are the guys that are like major push for immigrants here. Members. Hold on. Where did I find this? Just give me one moment because this is a poorly put together website. Media issues. What else? Structure. 40 years of the CCR, maybe? Give me a moment. It's here. I know it is. Issues. Media. Members. Jewish Child and Family Service. Oh, this is so badly put together. Staff. Who we are. Is this it? Group chairs. Yes, sir. Okay, so, they have like president, vice president, past president. We could like maybe go into these at another time too. But I just want to show you this. The working group chair for overseas protection and resettlement. So where they're getting the refugees from. Okay? Who's the head of it? Hugo Ducharme of Jesuit Refugee Service. Roya Atmar, Catholic Center for Immigrants. So this is where they get their immigrants from. The rest of them deal with when they get there. But where do they get them from? Jesuit and Catholic. Rujari, East Montreal. And I bet for the Americans, you'll probably find the same things as well. the Association for New Canadians and Canadian Council for Refugees and stuff like that. This is just the Canadian counterpart for their American groups, and you'll find the same thing there too. I would put money on it, man. I'm not a betting person, but if I was, I would put money on it. One minute of Putin drinking tea in a base manner. CCR 3318, yeah. $33 watching. Shill confirmed. Absolutely. That settles it. All right, we'll probably clue up within the next half hour. Let's do a last round of comments. Is there anything else you feel that I should cover? That last 5 seconds should be like yeah, this should be a GIF or a GIF, whatever you want to call it. Oh, I have no idea why people hate this guy. He's a total legend. He takes no shit, gets what he wants, and isn't scared to slap someone down if they deserve it. And Tony Blair secretly wishes he was. Ask a Russian if they either admire how far he has taken them or hate because SJW reasons. I know which I prefer. People hate it because of propaganda. He's an impressive operator. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, I got another video too of base Lukashenko. Hold on. And he's talking about these NGOs that we've been exposing a lot of over the past few days. Let me see if I can find it real quick on my... Yeah, here it is. So yeah, and like they're trying to infiltrate Belarus, and Lukashenko is the head of Belarus for those that don't know, and they're trying to infiltrate like they have in Ukraine, but with limited success, and they've after kicking them out and stuff like this. So this is the video about it. Hold on.
Частоту ты говоришь, Стив? С июля месяца, да, ликвидировано 270 НКО Беларуси. Отвечаю на твой вопрос, не трудись. Выражем всех мерзавцев, которых вы финансировали. Ах, вы озаботились, что мы уничтожили ваши структурки, НКО, НПО и прочее, которые вы финансировали. Мы, людей, которые работали на Беларусь, которые помогали людям, пальцем не тронули, а те, которые пользовались вашей помощью, получая от вас финансирование и громили здесь ваших, которых вы видели здесь в Минске, мы, если мы кого-то не ликвидировали, то мы их ликвидировали.
Absolutely freaking based. Absolutely based. This is the way that they should be treated to all these NGOs. They should be treated, well, I mean, like they should be treated as the subversive scum that they are. And it's not just the ones that are in like Russia and Belarus and Ukraine either. They're all over ours as well. All of these NGOs deserve to be treated like that. Unfathomably based. Yeah. That reporter was frothing. Yeah. Because like they just act like these NGOs are just like the most amazing thing ever. Let's see if I can find, just before I let you go. India Amnesty. So they get rid of Amnesty International for fraud and foreign funding during the hold on. I'm gonna have to go through history. There wasn't a lot that got done, but if you want to see these people, like what happens when you kick them out, this is what's worth the watch. Hold on. Oh, please show up. Please show up. Come on. Is this it? Yes. Okay. I couldn't get through all of it because it just gets like they're just like trying to scream over each other, and it's just, I don't know if you ever watched much India news, but so essentially they get exposed for fraud, Amnesty International in India, right? And there's a panel that are talking about, half of them are from this group. You can tell which ones they are. These ones down here. And they all lose their mind when they are called to speak. We got just a little bit, just to listen in. Okay, so this is called Arnab Goswami. This is like this conservative Indian talk show host or news host or whatever. And so they get kicked out. Amnesty cries witch hunt. This is not the end of international or Amnesty International's India's commitment to human rights. So I don't know if you guys knew what was going on. All those farmers revolutions that were going on over there. It was totally like NED, CIA crap, and Amnesty is one of their front groups, right? So they get exposed for fraud, and this is what ensues. Let's see if I can get a good. Yeah, I can see her screaming there. Hold on. Okay, let's see where we get.
Crores was brought in, Madhu can tell you, by these financial frauds under the garb of export of services. This 51 crores was spent among a motley bunch of...
Please validate it. That is an allegation. Please validate it.
So which allegation? You stay, continue. No?
Where's your evidence? There's not enough evidence.
Of a political
no, you continue. Why did you leave? Why did your amnesty leave? Why did you leave?
If and
I know.
So basically what happened was, I'm sorry, I should have said this a little bit better. They get caught with fraud, and they had a choice. They would get kicked out if they didn't reform or start being more transparent. And rather than doing one or the other, they leave. They shut down and they leave India. Sketchy as heck. So anyways, this is them trying to defend their move, and this chick just like loses her mind. This is great.
You're feeling orphaned today.
If a IT cell is making
no, 1 second, you're repeating. You're feeling orphaned today. Are you not an Indian?
You need to validate.
Why do you feel orphaned if a foreign organization leaves India?
You have to validate.
Rami, why is she feeling orphaned?
This is a global movement.
First of all, let me tell you that contrary to what Saira is saying, people like me and, which is a large section of Indian society that has never benefited from amnesty type of organizations, have waited a really, really long time for these organizations to be questioned. We've always questioned their motives because they have time and again shown India in bad light. It's people as barbaric. Under the guise of charity, they have interfered with our internal issues.
I also want to tell you now, I have been informed right now that there is some kind of a concert between Twitter and Amnesty, which is why we are told that our hashtag is being controlled by Twitter now.
Listen to that. So the hashtag of Amnesty Get Out, Twitter got rid of. Twitter is a CIA front. Okay? It's becoming more and more clear. Amnesty, in order to do damage control, that's what happened with India kicking out. I didn't look this up earlier, but India Twitter removed. they were looking into getting rid of Twitter and banning Twitter from India. We're not going to find it on global homo search engines. But this was about a year ago during those farmer protests, and this is why. This is why they were meddling in with these allegations of fraud.
Twitter feels, Madhu, that we are using intemperate language against a great organization called Amnesty. So they are trying to suppress the traffic on our hashtag Twitter. Next, people will say, Twitter, get out. So stop doing this in India. Now, Madhu, I want to ask you.
Twitter को भी रोक दीजिए. You stop all social networking sites.
तो मर जाओगे क्या अगर ट्विटर को रोक दे तो?
Emergency in this nation.
I am asking you, what emergency? Without amnesty, there's emergency, Madhu.
Emergency in the nation.
Why the money flow stops?
अरे भैया emergency है. वही channel चलता.
Money flow stops.
Money is flowing to the TV channels also who are speaking in favor.
Why you have got your Latvian channels? Is it my problem that nobody watches them?
Which are speaking.
कोई देखता नहीं उनको तो मेरी problem है. Nobody watches the channels with 4 alphabets. Is that my problem? For those channels who are a 4-letter word, for those channels who are a 4-letter word, nobody watches channels who are a 4-letter word. That's my problem.
I don't know what this channel that they're talking about, but it's probably, once again, like just like in Ukraine, we've talked about Gromatsky. Like they come in and they fund these channels to try and highlight the abuses of the government and stuff like that. This is so friggin' based, man. I didn't realize how based India was. I was trying to find out more stuff about, like, you know, NGOs and front groups and stuff like that, and I found this. I never got through all of it, but it's unreal, like, this stuff. And this guy's just not taking any crap from these people.
If nobody watches a channel which is a 4-letter word, is that my problem? I don't use 4-letter words. The people of India don't watch 4-letter words.
A channel which is honest.
What can I do?
A channel with questions.
Yeah, what can I do? Nobody watches them.
Which is anti-establishment.
What can I do if nobody watches them? Is it my responsibility?
Be neutral.
Is it my responsibility?
Yeah, and don't blame.
So it is my responsibility to provide channels so nobody is watching. Come back to Amnesty. Savio, why are they feeling orphaned?
Sir, you are
Savio, why are they feeling orphaned?
You are responsible for.
Why are they feeling orphaned? I am responsible for Amnesty also.
You know, Arnav, this is so funny. This is so funny that these guys are having an actual meltdown because Amnesty took the decision to leave. An absolute meltdown because Amnesty took the decision to leave. The government told them to leave.
Please tweet using Amnesty. Get out and challenge Twitter. Viewers, I request you to challenge Twitter. Twitter runs algorithms that try to suppress debates on issues not convenient to them. Let's defeat Twitter in that attempt.
With their nasty propaganda in India. That is what Amnesty is. It's amnesty. The propaganda of foreign organizations that want to be nasty to India's interests. I'm glad they decided to get out.
Before you get Amnesty,
the government should have actually banned them.
BJP accounts audited.
Amnesty International should be banned in India.
Amnesty is gone.
Told to get out. They should be thrown out.
Amnesty is gone.
Why don't you?
Vivek, it's not coming.
You don't analyze.
This is classic. Yeah, this ain't a WION. This is great. Hold on. Let me try and get you another highlight. This chick is so ticked off. The kvetching. Anyways, this dude loses it as well.
Do you remember that? You are here by the grace of the people of India, Twitter. Behave yourself or you'll be out of this country next. This is our country. Now the next question is Madhu. Madhu, tell me, why are these people feeling orphaned? They are feeling as if the ground has fallen under their feet. Why?
In this nation.
Royden?
You guys don't question the ruling government, but you want to question the opposition.
Because Amnesty International is one of the big dads of these foreign-funded organizations working to break up India. Now, Amnesty International was a great idea gone haywire. And I would like to remind you, Arnav, that in 1967, the founder of Amnesty International, Peter Valenson, resigned, claiming that Amnesty had been infiltrated by British intelligence agencies.
Now, aside, just if you listen through that kvetching, did you hear what she just said? That since 1968, Amnesty International has been infiltrated by British intelligence agencies. Right? So yeah, you can imagine why he's kvetching, because they are screwed. So they just need to make as much noise as possible. But this guy's great.
Later, he also claimed that the Central Intelligence Agency, namely the CIA, had also become involved with Amnesty. Imagine the founder leaving Amnesty on these very serious charges. And Arnab, will you stop hectoring? I can't speak like this. Arnab, please ask him to keep quiet if you want me to speak. Arnab, let me please have my 2 minutes. Arnab, please ask him.
I want to ask.
Kvetching level 10. This is max level kvetching right here.
Sir, let me tell you. 1 minute. You know, the problem is that these people in Latvians, they accept money from anyone. They just understand the color of the money. They don't care where it comes from. And as far as Amnesty is concerned, its own former official, Geeta Sehgal, acknowledged. Allow me, don't shout. Royden, you are shouting and you're looking bad. You are sounding like a member of a 4-letter channel. Listen to me.
Which is corrupt.
A 4-letter channel which is corrupt. Okay, I didn't say that. You said it.
What more can you say, Arnab?
Nothing.
Geeta Sehgal was suspended because she alleged.
I'm sorry.
He even has like the hair of Tucker Carlson. It's like it's the Indian version of Tucker Carlson or something. I don't know. He seems more base than Tucker though.
Nothing.
Geeta Sehgal was suspended because she alleged
I'm sorry,
that they were hand in glove with the most famous supporter of Taliban, namely Muazzam Bey, in 2010. And today or not, Amnesty is totally hijacked by jihadi Islamists.
Well, some people are saying that. Well, some people.
It is pro-secession in the northeast. It's pro-Maoism, Maoist insurgency in central India. It's pro-insurgency and militant armed insurgency.
Yeah, and she's 100% right there. They were first off, they were talking about the Taliban, and there's the connections there. But she was mentioning how these farmers, the farmers' protests that our boy Trudeau was supporting, like they tried to hide the commie flags from the videos to us, but you could still see them. It was obvious communist radicalization that they were using there to go against the government of India. I don't know if you can hear it through him, but I know he's the guy that's yelling right now. Like this level 10 chimp out is like just off the rails. this man, Indian TV. It's filled with a lot of this, by the way. There's a lot of Indian news that like they're just screeching at each other. But this is above and beyond anything I've ever seen. These people are kvetching out of control.
There's nothing about human rights there or not. And that is the background. It's been totally hijacked by anti-India forces.
May I add a little bit to this?
Insurgent forces, by Islamic jihadis.
May I add a little bit to this?
They don't even answer the serious questions.
I find it. Royden, come in. Royden, come in. Royden, it's not coming back, Royden. It's gone, Royden. Your shouting will not bring it back. It's over. For us, it's a nightmare. For you, it was the beautiful dream.
You have many more voices.
I know that you applied for. You have an NGO that applied for funding from Amnesty, didn't you? You have an NGO that applied for funding from Amnesty, didn't you? I tell you one.
Can I come in?
1 second, Savio. Before you come in, I want to bring in RP on this. Just a minute, getting everyone.
Do you think, Arnab, can you prove it that we have an NGO?
No, you're sounding like someone who has. Now my question is this. See, I'll tell you one thing. This was the standard job. Many Latvian journalists who failed to capitulate enough to rise to any position would, after a certain age, join Amnesty, Greenpeace, or what would happen is that, and RP knows it, Madhu knows it, these Amnesty, Greenpeace would throw 30, 40, 50 lakh rupees at any retired journalist and say, okay, start your little shop. So many journalists started these shops. And they got at one time 50 lakh rupees was a lot of money. They started these shops and they called themselves NGOs. Now the problem.
This is based. Don't get caught away with like the drama or whatever. This is based as frig, man. Like he's talking about how these journalists and all these activists, right? They get buddy with Amnesty, and then like groups like Amnesty. This is happening worldwide. It's not just in India with Amnesty. But they get funded then by Amnesty, who's funded by, all of these intelligence groups and departments of state from various Western countries, right? And then that money goes to start an NGO like Indians for Peace or, Jewish Voice for Peace or whatever, You know what I mean? Like, it does, depending on which country they're in. Like, and you can look at Ukraine. Like, we were like that video I did on NED. There was 334 of them or something like that over a period of less than 6 years, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And they'd given out $25 million through NED alone. And then you have USAID, you had IREX, you had there was a whole bunch of other ones as well. Their other affiliate, Freedom House, which was directly from USAID, and they had their own string of grants that were given out. He is speaking mad truth here, man. He was just saying to the guy, he's like, you're speaking like someone who was just about to get funded for an NGO.
Problem is, any post-retirement employment for these sold-out journalists is now over. One more thing, RP, and I hand over to you after that. Its own former official, Geeta Sehgal, acknowledged that Amnesty International had allied with a person called Moazzam Beg, who was a champion for the rights of the jailed members of the Al-Qaeda and was part of a jihadi group called Cage Prisoners. So, we should celebrate, yes. Saira says we are celebrating. Yes, we are celebrating because jihadi supporters and Al-Qaeda supporters have left this country. Thank God for that. RP. Thank God.
Arnab, Al-Qaeda sells rounds from other country. I'm talking about Yaqub Menon and Afzal Guru. Who are the people who are promoting the petition in favor of these two? It was Amnesty International.
No charge sheet.
Sarah, hear me out. The fact is, a set of fraud people. It's a set of people who are fraud and they keep committing fraud. They keep taking money from abroad for their personal objectives.
There is no charge sheet if employees of the human rights organization
Sarah, 36 crore rupees out of which money was siphoned for personal objectives. Tell me, how can you get 36 crore from any foreign funding source? Can you get that money? The problem is that these are gangsters, psychopaths, rejected by society who have failed in life and have picked up a small number from liberals and from communist left from abroad for their personal objectives. And then they will go to an extent to harm the India.
Saira, listen to me. First of all,
that chick. Oh man. All right. Okay. That's enough of this. I think we got the gist of it. Who do we got? Based Indian woman was here today. I will put that in. If you guys want to let me know, if you guys want to keep watching that, just you can override. Just press 1 in the chat or something like that. But I think we'll move on to this one here. But you can just see what happens when you try and remove one of these people. They just kvetch everywhere that they can possibly do so. What is this? Gandhi to Modi? Khazarian Mafia in Ukraine? Oh, goodness. Oh, snap. This is pretty based. Yeah, man, the Indians got a lot figured out, I gotta say. Not everywhere. I mean, they're a pretty diverse, nation. I don't mean like diverse as in diversity is our strength. I don't mean that. Like, I mean, like, there's a lot of different ideologies and stuff like that that's in there. But, and there's a lot of corruption in India as well. But they seem to have things pretty figured out. They have to deal with the corruption a lot, so like they don't mind telling things as it is.
It's a very, it was an excellent school. I learned Sanskrit there, and classical literature. It was a fantastic school. However,
this one's a bit too long at the moment to try and get into because I'm probably going to clue up soon. He mentions, why is Scott Ritter coming up on the screen?
When they came to India, they colonized.
Listen, there's one thing I want to bring up about Scott Ritter, and I don't know if it means anything. Okay, because. It could just be a witch hunt on him. All right, I'm not trying, because like he comes up and he's got a lot of interesting stuff. But are you guys aware of like this whole sex scandal that he's got going on, or like it was back in the day? So this is a guy he speaks on. He speaks on Ukraine a lot. Okay, and he says a lot of stuff that makes a lot of sense. I'm not just trying to say this to smear him or anything like that. That's not my intention here. But I do find it interesting how this is not mentioned. Arrest and conviction for sex offenses. Ritter was the subject in 2 law enforcement sting operations in 2001. Now, bear in mind, he was speaking out against the Afghan wars and the Iraq wars. Okay? So it could be a witch hunt. But I'm still going to read it anyways. He was charged in June 2001 with trying to set up a meeting with an undercover police officer posing as a 16-year-old girl. He was charged with a misdemeanor crime of attempted endangerment of the welfare of a child. The charge was dismissed and the record was sealed after he completed 6 months of probation. After this information was made public in early 2003, Ritter said that the timing of the leak was politically motivated in order to silence his opposition to the Bush administration's push toward war with Iraq. Now, I'm just going with what I'm reading here, okay? And I guess we can get into the sources. But the timing of, if he's talking about the timing of the arrest reports suspicious, okay, is he saying it's a lie? I don't necessarily see him saying that. Maybe we can quickly get into this stuff. And I just found this recently. I haven't been able to get into it enough. Maybe you guys know more about it than I do. But I found it troubling to find. And it could be a smear job. I don't know. But it doesn't look like he is saying that it never happened. Ritter was arrested again in November 2009 over communications with a police decoy he met on an internet chat site. Police said that he exposed himself via a web camera after the officer repeatedly identified himself as a 15-year-old girl. Ritter said in his own testimony during the trial that he believed the other party was an adult acting out her fantasy. What? The next month, Ritter waived his right to a preliminary hearing and was released on $25,000 unsecured bail. Charges included unlawful contact with a minor, criminal use of a communications facility, corruption of minors, indecent exposure, possessing instruments of crime, criminal attempt, and criminal solicitation. Ritter rejected a plea bargain and was found guilty of all but the criminal attempt count in a Monroe County, Pennsylvania courtroom on April 14, 2011. In October 2011, he received a sentence of 1.5 to 5.5 years in prison. He was sent to Laurel Highlands State Prison in Somerset County, Pennsylvania in March 2012 and paroled in September 2014. I did not know this about him. And I mean, I guess you don't need to start it off like that. Another interesting thing, recent activities from 2014 to 2017, Ritter was a columnist for HuffPost. 2017 and 2020, he was a frequent contributor to the American Conservative. Since 2017, he also contributes regularly to Consortium News, and since December 2019, Ritter writes op-eds for Russia Today RT. And we do see him talk a lot about the Ukraine war, and a lot of the stuff I find it interesting information. He seems to be very knowledgeable about the area and the war and the events leading up to the war. But what the heck is this? Okay, and I'm not trying to smear the guy. I'm not trying to make this negate all the valuable information that we get on him. But what the frig? What is this? Yeah, this is some big stuff, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like get away from the base lady here, who's calling out the Khazarian mafia in Ukraine. It's just I don't have enough time to get through. It's 50 minutes or whatever, and I just don't know where to start because I haven't seen it yet. Poor Mina Wog. I didn't mean to go away, but it was just where it showed Scott Ritter in it that I was like, I got to bring this up. I keep forgetting to bring it up. What the heck is going on here? And it doesn't seem like it's a denial at all. He's saying, how does this... Ritter said in his own testimony during the trial that he believed the other party was an adult acting out her fantasy. What? So you got naked for that anyways? Like, that alone grosses me out, whether or not it's illegal or not. Like, what? Okay, so The Guardian. Ugh. Scott Ritter, the former UN weapons inspector and an outspoken critic of war in Iraq, yesterday claimed he was a victim of a smear campaign after it was emerged that he had been arrested in an internet sting in June 2001. Just quickly going through it here. Details of the arrest emerged in a local New York State newspaper last week. Reports said that Mr. Ritter, 44, had been charged with attempted child endangerment after arranging in an online chat room to meet what he thought was an 18-year-old girl at a Burger King restaurant. The girl turned out to be an undercover policewoman. The case was later dismissed. Why was it dismissed? I guess because of his standing or his stature or whatever. And then he because he was critical with Bush with stuff that was going on. Yeah. Like, as you can see here, Mr. Ritter, a former U.S. Marine, spent 7 years as a UN weapons inspector, quitting in wow, what am I doing today? 1998. He has since become a thorn in the side of the Bush administration, which he accuses of warmongering. So I guess you could argue that part of this could be like a witch hunt against him. But what it seems more to me, this article was 2003, back when The Guardian was almost a newspaper. It looks like he was a person before 9/11. He gets arrested for the Burger King incident or whatever. The case gets dropped. And I mean, like, just because, we're theorizing here, they're not giving us any other information on it. It seems like dismissed probably because of his standing in the government. Right? And then when he becomes a thorn in the side of the Bush administration, boom, this all comes down. But he's not denying it, right? The New York Post said Mr. Ritter had been caught in a similar case. New York Post, this is conservative magazine, as well as, so we got both sides saying it, caught in a similar case involving a 14-year-old girl in April 2001, but was not charged. So another incident. Like, this is... Okay, in an interview with CNN on Wednesday, he refused to discuss details of the arrest and attempted to shift the focus on who leaked the story. The case was dismissed. The file was sealed. Why did this come up now? Bro, why don't you just say that I'm innocent? I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Yeah, he pled out to a pedos charge. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of high-level deviancy needs to be exposed. Yeah, I agree. Once you think you might think he was a setup twice. Yeah. When the system starts to break as the world cries out for someone to help... Yeah, the Antichrist. Yeah. If the crowd gets a hold of any of these people, it's going to get bad. I don't know if I could read out that last part, but it's possible. Yes, I agree. Damn. I get a lot out of his analysis. He's a pundit on the channel I just shared with the Indian gal. He could be a pervert, but still have points. Agreed. And I think he has good points. I don't think it negates his points. I'm not saying that, okay? There's a lot of stuff that I've heard from him that's actually quite good. But whoa. Something to bear in mind anyways. But you are correct. I'm not I really am not trying to take away what are good opinions and good other stuff. See if there's anything on the news feed just before I finish out. When am I streaming next? Someone's asking me when I'm streaming next, when I'm streaming. Oh, it was 5 hours ago, so yeah, okay. Maybe you made it human husbandry. I think I did see him in here. See if there's anything else to just quickly check out. If there's anything I've missed. God Knows the Truth. Usually has some great stuff. Let's check this out real quick. Also, guys, if you find any more on Dugin and the connections to, say, like the alt-right or maybe the other sides and stuff like that, feel free to comment in this live stream after the show, because I'd like to look more into it as well. It's alarming to see what's going on here, and it looks like they've been infiltrating us for a while.
Будь проклят Порошенко.
Okay, let's see if I can... Oh, it's pretty low quality, but whatever. Ukrainian Azov takes a kindergarten hostage. Civilian shield confirmed by locals. Sorry. May Poroshenko be cursed. Zelensky and all his henchmen. Death to them. Absolutely based. But let's continue on.
Зеленский и все его прихвостни. Смерть им. Гамсяйте этих врача, блядь. Убейте их.
F them up. They've destroyed our houses to such extent. Our windows are done for. It was Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. That's the thing.
Убейте этих украинцев. Они нам дома разрушили до такой степени, что пиздец, блядь. Мы снимаем квартиру, разлетелись окна в дребезги. Украина, 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 вот в том-то и дело. Вон, сколько домов побито.
Look at these buildings. That was all Ukraine, all Ukraine. Before my very own eyes, they were driving past and shooting at the residential block. They simply drive by and shoot. They simply drive past and shoot at the 9-story building. Ukrainians? Yes, Ukrainians. It was March 6th. The DPR only arrived the day before yesterday. Now. Look at these buildings. That was all Ukrainian mines. And look at the tiles over there, destroyed. Everything that flew from that direction is all Ukrainian. They take up residence in schools. There were tanks around schools. Even a kindergarten. They shot from a kindergarten. There were Ukrainian tanks in the kindergarten. How is that possible? Just like that. And it looked like that came from Patrick Lancaster's channel. We don't have time to go in through it today, but very saddening stuff to see. It's just more and more evidence of that. All right, looks like I got everybody else's stuff in here. Let me just... Red Ragged says, holy S. Indian TV is based. Yeah, it is based. There's a lot of good stuff like that, to be honest. Pretty sure this would end in a slap fight if they were in the same room. Maybe, yeah. Yeah. Bloody damn you. Is that WION channel out of India? Dana, yes, it is. WIN is out of India. They're okay at times, not so okay at others. WION is, World is One News. So, just real quick, there's times that they're unfathomably based, and then you can see that there is Globo Homo in there. They're in the stage of currently gaining your trust, in my opinion. The Essel Group. And they have their little, they have the old Saturn ring. I wouldn't trust these guys, to be honest, although they do some good reporting. If you want good Indian news, or at least better than WION. Try TFI Global. They're pretty good. Still a little bit partisan, but they're also kind of memey as well. Now they're a little bit too big for Trump, but whatever. They do a pretty good job, more or less. That's TFI Global there in the news, or that I'm dropping in. Would be crazy if a lot of what we see has all been in-house but blamed on Russia. Man, the movie theater certainly looks like it could be the case. Certainly looks like it could be the case. That they just rounded up a whole bunch of people, sacrificed them in that movie theater, and blamed it on the Russians. I think there's a lot of that going on at the moment. I just think of these true reports can be easily dismissed by Russia haters as made up because they may be exaggerating too much. Yeah, could be. It could. That's a good point. That's a good point. In a way, this could be why the DNC lost its mind and came up with Russiagate. They knew about the crazy Russian subversion, but wanted to stick it on Trump. I'm not MAGA, but it does seem that way. Yeah, and the stuff that was going on in Ukraine as well. I think there was a lot of the propagandists in Ukraine that were helping with Russiagate. Just awake. We'll watch this from the start. Good to see Gonzalez Lira still okay and posting valuable info. Yeah, and he was on the Duran as well for a really long podcast there earlier as well. If you go on the Duran... Oh, and I don't know if I answered that question. Someone had mentioned something about the Duran earlier, and I think I forgot to answer. I do watch the Duran. I think it's pretty good. It's leading Russia. I will point to one thing. Again, although it's like one of my... Duran. Okay, yeah. Beware the two-headed eagle. This is a little bit of a Masonic... logo here, and it is Russia leaning. But I mean, I'm pretty sure that this guy, what's his name, Alexander? Is that his name? He lived in Russia for a while, so it may just be a reference to Russia itself. May not necessarily be a Masonic nod, but yeah, be careful with them. Don't trust everything that they say, but I think they've done a really good job so far in explaining what's going on. I watch them a lot. I'm actually going to go finish the last one that they did. Oh, what's the song? Now it makes me... I'll probably finish off here. Duran... Ordinary World. I love this song. Duran was so such wasted potential in my opinion. There was a lot of talent in that band that kind of went down the wayside with pop crap. But this was actually a decent pop song for the pop crap. Oh, hold on. Turn it down a little bit. There we go. All right. I think you guys can still hear me, right? Russiagate, Climategate, only one gate matters, the narrow gate. Yes, sir. Faith in Christ. That's it. That's the only thing saving us. It's not going to be a man. It's good to see you, Alan. It's good to see you catch it. I love this. Fleetwood Mac, yeah, there's some good stuff. The solo of this of this song is absolutely Kino, even though it's just like a one note on the guitar. So many military symbols and military type channels have eagle heads and Duran type symbols. Yep. All right, my boys and girls, of course, ladies. I think I'll probably finish this up here now. It's been great chatting with you guys. We'll finish with the rest of the song when it comes into the solo. Next live stream will be Tuesday. I might throw another one in the middle if I get bored or something like that, but we'll say Tuesday is the next like actual one, and I'll have some content. Been dealing with a headache over the past few days. I haven't been able to make too much. But, the opinions and analysis on Duran isn't always spot on, but I like that being wrong isn't something they dwell on. They move on and make more analysis and opinions. Yep. I agree. And I think they've done pretty well so far. All right, guys. I don't want to ruin this solo, so I'll talk to you later. Thank you very much for watching, and leave a like if you don't mind. Appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one. And I'll leave it to Duran here now.
Today, forgot tomorrow. Here beside the news of holy war and holy me, ours is just a little sorrow talk. And I don't cry for yesterday. There's an ordinary world somehow I have to find. And as I try to make my way to the ordinary world, I will learn to survive.
Good night, guys.